Thank you for telling me that.
Good afternoon. It is Friday, October 20th, 2023. This is a regular meeting of the Commissioners of the City of Rehoboth Beach. We're live in the City Hall Commissioners Room, second floor. I'd like to call this meeting to order at 2:07 p.m. Would you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We'll do roll call. Commissioner Don Preston.
Here.
Commissioner Tony Sharp.
Here.
Commissioner Ed Chernowski. Absent. Commissioner Patrick Gossett.
Here.
Commissioner Tim Bennett.
Here.
Commissioner Bunky Markert.
Here.
Mayor Stan Mills. We have a quorum and are able to formally conduct business today. I would like to also identify our staff it takes to run. Oh my goodness, there's a lot. I think some of them will introduce themselves. Let's see, City Secretary Ann Womack, City Manager Lawrence Christian, City Solicitor Glenn Mandalis, Judge Renee Bennett, Lynn Cohen, the Communications Specialist, Kevin Williams, Public Works Director, June Embert hiding right there behind the podium. She's with the Parking Department. Assistant, raise your hand, Assistant City Manager Evan Miller, Chief Keith Banks, Captain Giles from the Beach Patrol, Margaret Carson, Executive Secretary. Over here, Matt Janis. I think we got everybody, right? Welcome. Thank you for being here. I'd also like to thank everybody that's in here in person. Typically, when we get to certain agenda topics, if you have something to say, we would appreciate your feedback, and we ask you to come up to the microphone, state your name and your relationship to the city. Also like to thank all those that are watching virtually. That chose to watch us from the comfort of their house. And also like to remind everybody typically that documents that support our agenda items are typically embedded in the agendas when they're received sufficient time ahead of the meeting. And we'll show you some of those documents so that you can see exactly what we see. With that, let's see, we're going to go to the first item of business, which is presentation of a proclamation. Connie, would you join me up front? And then Vice President Patrick Gossett is going to join me also. There you go, Connie, right here.
Thank you.
Connie Holdrich is the director for the Breast Cancer Coalition. I'm pleased to have her here with us today. So we'd like to present a proclamation. This proclamation is in recognition of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, October 2023. Whereas breast cancer is the most common type of cancer diagnosed in women, and in Delaware and the United States, it is the second leading cause of death in women. And whereas in the United States, about 1 in 8 women and 1 in 833 men will develop invasive breast cancer over the course of their lives. And whereas October is nationally recognized as Breast Cancer Awareness Month and aims to raise awareness and to educate about breast health and breast cancer, the month also recognizes the many survivors, those living with metastatic breast cancer, their supporters and loved ones, and honors those lives lost to this disease. And whereas Breast Cancer Awareness Month is an opportunity to unite the community and spread important messages of early detection, screening, and prevention and assistance to women and men before, during, and after a diagnosis to increase health equity, reduce the number of new diagnoses, to increase survivorship, and to improve everyone's quality of life. And whereas researchers, scientists, and numerous nonprofit organizations are dedicated to discovering the cure for breast cancer, during the month of October, we acknowledge the extraordinary commitment and effort invested in this cause. And whereas we recognize that over 2.5 million Americans are breast cancer survivors, and that gives us hope to a better future. Now, therefore, we, Mayor Stan Mills and Board Vice President Patrick Gossett, do hereby proclaim October 2023 as Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Proclaim this 20th day of October 2023. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you again, Connie. You don't have to stay. You're bolt for that door in any silent moment. Correspondence relates to the agenda item having to do with committee memberships. That's embedded in the agenda. We have no minutes ready to approve at this time, so we'll move on to the city manager's report, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Commissioners, members of the public, thank you so much. City Manager Report for October 19, 2023. Quick update on the Beach Patrol Headquarters and Comfort Station. Our Communications Manager, Lynn Cohn, sent out a notice about the project to homeowner associations and local community organizations on August 25th. This notice highlighted Commissioner's approval of the new Beach Patrol Headquarters and Comfort Station facility, the award amount, the anticipated start dates, some details on a new building, a history of the existing building and their deficiencies, a link to reach out Rehoboth to get more information on this project, and an email address through which the public could provide comments or questions. An article was also published on August 25th in Lines in the Sand, and the city's communications manager continues to update the project page on Reach Out Rehoboth, and the project was included in promotions for Reach Out Rehoboth as well. On October 11th, city staff and representatives from EDIS, which is acting as the city's construction manager for this project, met with Beacon Hospitality to discuss their concerns about life safety at the Admiral on Baltimore as related to the new Beach Patrol headquarters. Minutes will be provided from that meeting, where we discussed the fire marshal's site plan approval, which provides an assurance that the fire marshal has not only reviewed the Beach Patrol facility for compliance with fire prevention standards, but also that the review included the surrounding properties and any potential adverse impact. These documents were provided to the Board of Commissioners, Planning Commission, and members of the public. City staff continues to work with DBF on preparing a new site plan document that shows the new fire lanes created as a result of relocating the fire hydrant at the end of Baltimore Avenue and the addition of 2 accessible parking spaces at the eastern terminus. This document provided to the Board of Commissioners, Planning Commission, and members of the public, and will also be used to develop an ordinance amending the fire lanes section of the city code. Talk briefly about the cross-connection control program info. This is in response to Mayor Sharp's comment from the last meeting. This will also be posted on the website and Reach Out Rehoboth as well. Or when are we doing Reach Out Rehoboth on this one? On the cross-connection program? Or is that just on the website? Just on the website. Okay, just on the website. City is working with Hydro Court Incorporated to share information about requirements related to the establishment of a state-mandated cross-connection control program. The program, which is designed to prevent backflow contamination of drinking water, requires that many water customers undertake, at their expense, annual inspections of their cross-connections and backflow preventers. The program will be implemented next year in Rehoboth Beach. That's 2024. Information about the Cross Connection Program is now posted to the city's website with a link to the HydroCore Creative website with additional details, including a video, brochure, FAQs, and a list of certified testers. That information can be found on the Water Service page under Residents and the Water Department page under Government at City of Rehoboth Beach, or cityofrehoboth.com. In addition, the city will share an article about the Cross Connection Program in the next Lines in the Sand. We plan to include an insert in the next water bill mailing, and a letter will be sent to impacted customers early next year. Updates on Laurel Street water main replacement. The new water main on Laurel has been installed and tested. The contractor began replacing water service lines this past week. Related to the new federal copper and lead rules, the city is working to provide citizens who had or still have galvanized pipes as part of their service line with filtered pitchers to filter out expected increases in lead levels in the water over the next 6 months. This is in relation to a story that was run on Women's Christian Temperance Union water fountain. Following the recent media interest in the Women's Christian Temperance Union water fountain at the end of Rehoboth Avenue, Caswell Plumbing has stepped forward to repair the fountain at no cost to the city. Parts have been ordered, and residents and visitors may notice that the fountain is under repair. Our thanks to Caswell for this service to the community. We have a blood drive scheduled for Monday. The city is hosting this Delmarva Blood Bank Drive from 12 to 6 p.m. in the Convention Center downstairs. Appointments are still available via the Delmarva Blood Bank website. The city is moving forward for the Well 6 replacement project. We have advertised and is accepting bids for the replacement construction of well number 6. A mandatory pre-bid meeting will be held on November 3rd, and bids will be open November 16th. And finally, street aid expenditures. I've got street aid expenditures for the month of September for $13,035.23, and October street aid expenditures for $11,108.49, totaling $24,143.72. Mayor, Commissioners, that's all I have.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve street aid expenditures for $24,143.72.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Patrick Gosselin, a second by Commissioner Tony Sharp to approve the street aid expenditures for the 2 months noted, totaling $24,143.72. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, and the motion's carried unanimously. Thank you very much.
Before you move on, Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
City Manager, on the temperance fountain, can you talk or express how long the fountain was out of commission?
We believe the fountain was out of commission for approximately 8 years.
8 years.
It did fall into disrepair and has been, correct me if I'm wrong, Kevin, is about roughly, we think, 8 years? We're guessing.
We have a lot of different opinions, but I think it is what we kind of narrative.
Yeah, about 8 years is what we believe it to be.
I'm just curious, just thinking off the top of my head, maybe as we go forward, there's some way to make certain that the fountain is in good stead, as well as I'm sure the historic sign is going to be put back if it isn't already back. I guess it isn't.
It is going to be put back.
Okay, so maybe we could just wrap that up in a nice package at some point that it's all finished, and we would have continual observation of whether or not it's working.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I just want to recognize the city for hosting the blood bank of Delmarva. I usually go up and give blood at the Lutheran church. It's certainly more convenient to come here. And I'm doing their new machine where they suck out the blood, take out what they want, and re-inject what they don't want. So I'll be there, I guess. Does that sound gross?
Sharing.
Yes, Mayor, it does. Yes.
Somehow I've survived it and everything. Thank you very much. With
Mayor,
that, yes, yes, sir.
Just, if I may, Lawrence, as this is your last official meeting here in Rehoboth Beach, I just want to thank you for your role as a change agent here in the city. That's really laid the foundation for the future vision of Rehoboth. And I certainly personally appreciate all of the personal and personal commitment that you've made to the city. And we have a great vision for the future based on your implementations here and your vision of the city. And I just want to personally say thank you.
Thank you.
Here.
Thank you, Commissioner. We all feel that. With that, we're going to go to the city solicitor's report.
Mayor, just a very quick update on the 330 hospitality case, the rezoning case at 330 Rehoboth Avenue. The petitioner there filed their opening brief last week on the 16th, or maybe that was the beginning of this week. The city's reply brief will be due the 15th of November. So we're finally in that briefing stage after it's been through Chancery Court and now into Superior Court. So we're on the briefing in the briefing stage, still on track to have a final decision in that case, probably the second quarter of 2024. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Very good. Thank you. With that, the next item of business is departmental reports, and our city manager has scheduled some end of summer reports. Lawrence?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Commissioners. We are pleased to have the following departments brief in chambers today. We've got the Rehoboth Beach Patrol Captain Jeff Giles. We got the Rehoboth Beach Police Department Police Chief Keith Banks, Public Works Director Kevin Williams, Parking Department Supervisor June Embert, Communications Department Manager Lynn Cohn, and we also have our own Judge Alderman Renee Benevitt here to speak as well. So in no particular order, I know you probably have to get back to court, don't you, Judge? I'm just here for backup. Okay. All right. Well, that sounds good. then we will jump right in there with June, because I know you probably have some cases to hear. So June, if you want to take the lead and jump right up in there.
I can do this.
Are they going to put this stuff on? They are. Okay.
Good afternoon. I know I have to
Do
move that.
you have
June,
that
I'm
control
from
over there with you, June, or do you want
Do what?
your slides? Do you want them, or are you controlling them?
No, I'll do it. Right? Thank you.
There we go.
Thank you. I'm June Embert. I'm the parking supervisor, and I thought we'd just go over 2023 parking season. Our operational details are from May 15th through September 15th, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. It's pay by plate, $3 an hour. We have 200 Lou Cosmo meters, which average out to 2,260 meter spaces. Our current challenges are staffing, the Fishing Pier, Lake Avenue, permit areas, angle perpendicular parallel parking, Deauville Beach, incorrect license plate, and citation appeals. And that's why Renee's here. Our meter collection and meter coin trend, as you can see, our coins for 2023 went down to 125,000. Credit card usage was 2,766,970, and Park Mobile increased to 35. And for the 2023 season, we net profit $6.3 million for meter revenue. On our coin trend, you can see in 2016, we had $1.4 million, and this year we averaged $125,000 for meter collections and coinage. And I just wanted to mention about the change machine usage. As you can see, it declined, and in 2023, we only had $14,000 in change machine quarters. So we have two change machines. We have one that is, well, both of them are almost on their last leg, and we are going to take one of the change machines this year and move down to only having one, because the replacement cost for a change machine runs about $95,000. So as you can see, what we use and the cost of the change machine, it just doesn't, it's not feasible. And then moving forward in 2024, we'll just go down to one, and then hopefully in 2025, we'll phase the change machines out. So our parking permit sales, we sold in 2023, 21,743, which is down from 2022. That's a decrease of 1,598 permits compared to what was sold in 2022. Our transferable and non-transferable permits were up by 214, but you can see that the weekend dailies and the dailies are definitely down. So that averaged out to about 1,700 less in visitors, I want to say, for the season. So our meter revenue for 2023 was 6.3 million and permit revenue 1.1. And you can see that it declined from 2022 and of course 23, or 21, I'm sorry. So I just want to touch on some of the things that we've seen this season that should be addressed. And the first one is Fish and Pier parking challenges. So parking challenges or visitors are not on the fishing pier or using the picnic area. Vehicles during the summer were being towed by the police department out of the area, so people that wanted to utilize that location of the fishing pier could. But our potential solutions would be enhance existing signage, reference the fine amount, and reference that vehicles are towed at owner's expense, and or place a parking meter in the area via, or pay for parking via pay station, Park Mobile, or both. Lake Avenue challenges, parking challenges. Parkers are not aware that one side is permitted and the other is metered. Parkers cross the street from the north side to pay the meter on the south side. So during traffic and all, they're crossing over to pay a meter instead of knowing that they need a permit. So the potential solutions would add additional permit signage to the north side of Lake Avenue, make both sides permit parking, and parkers that wanted to utilize the tot lot can park on Lake Avenue or Lakeview.
June, can I ask for clarification here? I think I'd like to see this just clarified, because you're talking about Lake Avenue between Surf Avenue and North First Street, I believe.
Correct.
Because there's another Lake Avenue up near
So this
Culture
is-
Pearl and everything. Okay,
Right.
thank you.
Permit areas in the Pines neighborhood, the parking challenges. Properties utilizing front lawns and city right-of-ways as their off-street parking spaces. Parkers are not clearly informed on street parking because of the stones, front lawns, or other materials used in the city right-of-way for parking. Pedestrians walking down the middle of the roadway. Potential solution: establish neighborhood design template for public space and marked approved driveways. Angle perpendicular parallel parking. Parking challenges. Head-in parking requirement. Visitors from two-plate states. Argument that backing in is safer. Concern over the citation amount of $50. Parking with the flow of traffic, citation amount is minimal, $15. Potential solution, make both violations $25, and the increase would be 50 after 7 days, 75 after 30. Right now, it escalates up to 100. Doval Beach parking lot, potential or parking challenges. Attendants must stop the flow of traffic when vehicles enter the lot to sell or verify parking permits. Pedestrians and bikers utilize the street because the vehicles are waiting on the shoulder to enter the lot. Police assistance is occasionally needed on busy weekends, taking them away from other duties. Parkers try to enter the lot by going around stopped vehicles and become irate with the attendants. Potential solutions: revert Doval Beach lot back to its own parking lot, install additional meters, enforce via LPR or the handheld units, provide additional signage with rules and regulations for a Doval Beach lot, phase out Doval Beach attendance. Incorrect license plate, parking challenges, consistent challenges with visitors paying using incorrect license plates, paying the wrong vehicle license plate via Park Mobile, entering an incorrect license plate, transposed digits, letters, or forgetting numbers or letters. A one-time warning is usually issued for entering an incorrect license plate, but not for selecting a wrong vehicle in Park Mobile. Our potential solution would be consider an ordinance that would provide a one-time reduction from $30 to $15 within the first 7 days of the citation issuance. This would be applied in both situations, incorrect license plates and wrong vehicles. The reduction would be considered an administration fee for the time involved researching the payment record. If not paid at the reduced rate, the citation will escalate as prescribed.
Is that one where, Judge, you wanted to give us any input or changing the ordinance?
So what she's saying is that, you know, people have a Park Mobile account and they might have they might have 5 or so cars on their license plates, and they pick the wrong one. They don't pick the correct license plate, so it goes to appeal. And with picking the wrong license plate, the policy is that they have to pay for the ticket because it's their responsibility to pick the right car, because it happens over and over again with the same people. Sometimes when they have numbers and letters, they might, you know, put a letter wrong or something like that, and that's usually a warning because you can tell pretty much what the license plate was. So, and that's a big problem with appeals. Lots of them are those two things. So
Right.
They're talking possibly of, instead of just dismissing it, but giving them a warning, but an administrative fee of minimal. And I think a lot of the other municipalities do that. If they forget the PC. Maryland, it's usually a number and 2 letters. They forget the letters. They think it's just the numbers from the license plate. So it's something that she can talk about the administrative fee about that.
Very good. Thank you for your perspective.
We go with this? Okay, and then citation appeals. The parking challenges. There is a 30-day calendar timeframe for court appeals. The escalation is 7 days. For a $30 ticket, it's 7 days. For a traffic ticket, it's 7 days. After that, it goes up, the fine amount. When parkers go online to pay, they see the increase and they appeal the escalation fee, not the original violation. So when they're doing this, they're appealing the, say, the $15 or whatever that escalation fee is, because they don't want to pay the additional cost. Parkers wait till the last day to appeal, and parkers forget they have the citation. Potential solution, shortened to 7 calendar days, coincide with first escalation of the citations. This is consistent with other cities and reduce administration burden on reviewing and resolving appeals for old citations. And questions?
Thank you, Jen. Appreciate that. We all appreciate you
Thank you.
identifying your challenges and everything. Perhaps this is something I can talk with the assistant and city manager on what is the path forward to pinpointing what the solutions are, whether some or all of these challenges would be handled administratively and then they come forward to the commissioners, or whether the Street and Transportation Committee should have all or some of them to review, or whether some or all come up to this board. So hope we can get your ideas. Commissioner Preston, please.
Mayor, I'd just like to commend you, June, for providing the challenges and the possible solutions. It's very helpful to us to see both side by side, so thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yes, June, thank you for your time. 2 questions for you. On the potential solutions, were they all developed between you and your staff? So these are on the ground that have worked?
Oh, yes,
Great. All right.
yes, and with Renee.
Okay,
Yeah,
even better. And just to refresh our memories, how many years have you been doing this?
Since 2001, full-time, and since the 90s. So,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
So we have an authoritative source on these. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Started back when Park Mobile was just a concept, I think. Thank you very much. I would say now, next in line, let's just go in sequence here. Rehoboth Beach Patrol. Introduce yourself, if you would, Captain, and take it away.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Jeff Giles. I am the captain of the Rehoboth Beach Patrol. This is my 3rd summer. I'm going to go over just a couple of the things that I did put into the report, but we hired up to 70 lifeguards. We started off the beginning of the summer hiring 70. I worked with the chief. 55 of those 70 are lifeguards that are sitting the stand. We have some administrative people. We have 7 EMTs. They all came back this year from last year. And we had 19 new rookies this year. 18 of the 19 finished the rookie training and rookie test, which is great. So we had a great contingent of guards. We did, by the end of the summer, start to lose our lifeguards, a lot going back to college, a lot going back into sports. Oh, yeah. And we ended up hiring about 3 or 4 fall guards, which are lifeguards from other police or other agencies that can come over and help us out. So it worked out great for us. Next year, I'm anticipating a lot of our senior staff, our lieutenants and sergeants, will be leaving us. A lot are done college. We're moving them on to their regular jobs that they're going to try to get involved in, and that's my job, get them out of the nest. I don't want to lose them all at once, but I'm losing a lot this year. So we'll have a lot of our 3rd and 4th year guards that are coming back are ready for the leadership positions. So it's going to work out real well for us. Beach Patrol injury reports. We had 5 written injury reports for our own lifeguards. Every one of them returned back to patrol. Most of it was ankle injuries, back injuries, so on, from training and running in the sand and so on. So it worked out good for us. It's not real bad. Last year we had 4. This year we had 5. We continue to do our bell ringing ceremony. And our active alumni association is very involved in it. We had Senator Coons come out this year, rang the bell for us. Mayor Mills opens up every year for us. I am going to put an email out for the commissioners. I want to bring you in every weekend throughout the summer from Memorial Day to Labor Day. I want to get you to come out and ring the bell for us. The guards love to hear your story. They're like sponges. So I'm going to put that out to the city so you get an email from me. And please come out, ring the bell, and talk to the lifeguards because they love to hear. So we're going to do that next summer. So competitions this year for 2023. we did an outstanding job this year. And my hat's off is to Chief Chakro, who runs our competition team. And not only just runs our competition team, but he runs the Sussex County Lifeguarding Association competition team. So it's great to have him there, and I'll explain to what happened in nationals, and we went to world championships this year. So we had 2 competitions here in Rehoboth over the summer, the Lifeguard Olympics, which we have every year, and the Mid-Atlantic, USLA Mid-Atlantic Regional Championships. That brought in 18 teams and over 300 competitors, and Rehoboth finished second. So we're getting real close, real close. So the Mid-Atlantics went real well for us. Then we went to the USLA Nationals, which was in Virginia Beach. 24 of our lifeguards were able to get 24 down there for it, coming back each day and being able to run the beach at the same time. So thank you, Chief, for working with me, because we had some guys working some different hours. We had some overtime issues, but it worked out. The SCLA, which Derek, our chief, runs, finished second in the country. So we lost to Monmouth County, New Jersey. We're this close. So we were almost national champions this year, and that's all the Beach Patrol combined in Delaware. Then we had Sophia Galati, one of our lifeguards, a 4th-year guard. She's one of our sergeants. She was the national champion in a sprint on the beach and in beach flags, which is an amazing accomplishment. Then we had 4 of our lifeguards get picked to go to the world team, which they're a part of the USA national team, and they participated in the World Championships in Texas just last month. And what an experience for these guys. So there's about 16 on the team, and 4 of them on the USA team were from Rehoboth Beach. So great accomplishment, great kids. They bring it all back, and it's been a good year this year in the competitions. So we'll get better too. We're going to keep first is going to be better than second. Junior lifeguard program had over 200 kids involved this year. Thad Zimmer this year ended up running the program for us. Thad was an old lifeguard in Rehoboth. He's come back and helped us out immensely as an alumni. So we brought him on the staff this year, and he is at Lake Forest. He's a PE teacher, and he's the director of the aquatic program there. So he's got a lot of experience. So he brought like a new notification system for us, and this year we're gonna work on the registration system being a little bit more simpler and easier. So it's working out great. The parents and the kids had an awesome summer. We're expecting a lot of them to come back, and we keep building the program up. The Rehoboth Beach Patrol ambassador. We were lucky enough we hired one person, Skip first, in late June, and we hired the right guy because he is polite. He loves talking to the public, and he gets the points across about some of the umbrella rules and regulations that we have with tents, and he did an outstanding job. He got to know the police department because if he would have an issue on the beach talking to somebody to take a tent down, usually it worked with just him, but if he got a lot of kickback and nobody did it, he would contact the police, and it worked out real well for us. And you'll see on the statistical at the end, if you want to look at the end, you'll see the stats on the amount of tents that he took down and the amount of police call-outs that he had to do, which wasn't that much. So he's doing a really good job. We're going to expand it next year. I want Skip. We're going to probably hire another 1 or 2 ambassadors, and we'll have Skip involved in the process because we really want them to emulate what Skip is doing. So we're moving in the right direction. Worked out real good for us. Jet ski. Thank you very much, Commission, for allowing us to purchase our jet ski. We are taking baby steps with it. We used it on 4 different occasions. It's really used, one is we take it out we have water courses when they do the competitions here. They have to they got to move the buoys around and set things up and flags and so on. So they did that. We also have the biathlon, which has a swim section to it. And we had a mile swim that we might get a series. And it's great to have the jet ski because it's used as a safety vehicle out there with the guards. We had one of our lieutenants was a jet ski operator for Fort Lauderdale Beach Patrol. So it was great having him here because he's been trained. And he's now with me. We're writing up the manual for the jet ski operation. So next year, if he's gone, we're going to run a couple of our senior guards through to make sure that they can run the jet ski properly. So, and we had the jet ski, if you didn't notice, it was kept up at Deauville Beach. We kept it up near the tennis courts. And the reason why we did that there, we're able to lock it up there, is they have water there. So when you bring that jet ski up, we got to keep it maintained. We needed a hose up there to run that out and clean it and keep it in good shape. So thank you so much, and we will utilize it more and more as we get through the summers. EMR training, again, we keep going out. EMR training is the emergency medical responder training. It's not EMT training, but it takes 40 hours. So you got 40 hours of instruction to get it. We're trying to get more of our guards EMR trained, which is great, because when they go on the beach and we call EMTs down and we call paramedics, we've gotten a start. We had another 12 of our guards get EMR trained. We're trying each year to get 12 guards trained. It's not that costly, it's just time consuming. It's hard when you have summer employees come down and train them a whole week on EMR training. So we're going to continue to do that and get that moving. We look forward to the new, obviously, the new headquarters. If you've noticed, or if you want to walk into the old headquarters, we allowed them to do some graffiti inside and put some things up on the wall. And it's actually great, because when you look at it, it's all positive. It's all positive. And they're very excited. And there was a lot of tears shed on the last day, on Labor Day, when a lot of the guards are leaving. That's like their home, because we're a family, so that is their home. And that brings me to the point here at the end of the summer. In August, we unfortunately had a drowning in Rehoboth. It did occur 20 minutes after the last call when we closed the beach. That day was one of the roughest days that we have ever had on the beach patrol. And I say that from going back in my days from the early 80s up until 86. We had about 35 saves that day. We started the day at just knee-deep water, and it was Sunday, it was Saturday. That beach was packed. It was busier than the 4th of July weekend. It was so crowded. So we started allowing more people to go in. And predictable, preventable, that's what we look at. Predictable, if it's predictable, it's going to be preventable. That's why a lot of times we close the water down, because we know it's just too rough. It started to calm down for us. We opened it up, and the guards ran all day long. So at the end of that day, when we did, and I remember when we called and we said, we're going to clear the water, we made sure everyone was out of that surf, because we wanted to make sure that everyone knew that the lifeguards were leaving. It was 5:30. They had a long day. They were leaving at 5:30, and we wanted to make sure everybody knew. And they did. They did. And the heartwarming thing was everyone came back in when they heard that there was a possible drowning. They were on their way home, going to go get dinner, whatever they were going to do. They were all back in, along with some help from Dewey Beach Patrol and Delaware State Parks. And hand in hand, arm in arm, they went out till 9 o'clock at night searching. So it was hard on the guards. It was, but it's a reality check, and this is what you do. And this is why you signed up, and this is why you do all the training that you do. So actually, at the end, we make it a learning point, and they learned a lot that day. So we carry a lot of those guards back in this summer, and we look forward to 2024.
Thank you. Thank you, Captain. Anything up here?
A few questions, I'm sorry.
Yes.
On the beach ambassador, you're going to hire additionals for next season. Is that going to cover 7 days a week then? Because I'm assuming he was not out there 7 days a week if he was a single person.
Yeah, this year was really good, because the years before were just the weekends. So he's there 5 days a week. Yeah, we would like to cover 7 days a week. And we're utilizing the ambassador for not just the tents and so on. He was great at going down, because toward the end of the summer, we had to close off part of the beaches. He went down to the areas where the beaches are closed and going, you need to swim near lifeguards. The lifeguards are down here. These are the beaches that are open. So he's not just he's not just tent enforcement. He's actually talking to people. He's going to hand out pamphlets for us. It's been great. Yeah, so we want to cover 7 days a week for sure.
And your 3 years here, could you give us a little perspective, if you will, on beach crowding? How you've seen this? Has it increased? Is it about the same? Any thoughts?
Well, I go from my days in the 80s, and we had a lot more beach back then, and we had 8 feet under the boardwalk, so things have changed. This summer was interesting because we had the beach replenishment. And if you know, back in June, we got that nor'easter. And that just took all that beach replenishment back out. And what it did is that sand that was originally on the beach, it pulled it out, and it made the waves much better. It wasn't just breaking off. We didn't have the shore break. But by about August, the shore break was back, and the waves are just smacking on the beach, and we started to get the injuries again, more injuries. We had really just 2 real serious injuries where we needed the paramedics to come down and take people out of the surf. Only 2 this summer. Really lucky, because I thought it would be worse with the shore break. So yes, and there is less beach, and it is more crowded.
Over the 3 years that you've been involved strictly?
Yeah.
And a couple of other questions, if I may. The accessible wheelchairs, I know they are popular, but for our budgeting issues for coming up, just if you could also give some information to the chief or what have you about that, and also the accessible mats, sort of the expansion of that availability for the mats, even going further down to the beach, or in some other communities I've noticed in Florida and have you, that they run the mats in a T. They'll run it all the way out and then provide access kind of along the beach itself on a couple of the...
I know Kevin runs the mats, and and that's getting better and better, and Mike is working really hard with us all the time to make it... It worked. We got the 2 locations on Laurel Street and on Maryland Avenue. And you'll see the stats. We had 300 requests for the wheelchairs through the summer, which is usual. We have 10 wheelchairs, but we really were down to 9, really 8 by the end of the summer, because some are resting out. So I'm going to probably put in a proposal to get maybe 2 more new ones to keep 5 and 5. We had a couple incidences with the wheelchairs that we've never turned a person down. And we had one day where we had 15 requests for the wheelchair. And what would happen is that we went out in the morning, we got it back by the time the other requests came in. So everybody's been satisfied with the wheelchair, so we never had to turn anybody away. So we will probably get 2 more, and it would be nice. The mats do help immensely, especially with the wheelchair, getting those folks down to the beach.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Captain. We were just going to go in order here. So Rehoboth Beach Police Chief, Keith Banks.
Okay, good afternoon, Mayor, Commissioners, General Public. Thank you all for coming out here, and thank you for allowing me some time to talk about a report for the 2023 summer season, how it went. I think I would like to start with the 911 Center. Each summer, our 911 Center handles thousands of incoming calls, both emergencies and non-emergency. This summer, our communications specialists handled a total of 13,873 incoming calls from May 29th through September 30th, consisting of 5,323 911 calls, 8,550 non-emergency calls. There was 2,399 total police incidents, 377 fire responses, and that is actually up this year. 1,585 EMS responses, that is up this year. And one number kind of also astonishes me when I look at it is 1,229 911 disconnects. And these are incoming 911 calls that come into the police department, to the center, and then maybe nobody's on the line. It's just hanging there. You're saying hello, trying to answer it, or it hangs up immediately. Sometimes it's an emergency, but 9 times out of 10 it's with these smartphones. People are just hitting their arm down with their watch, and it's setting it off or whatever, and it's calling 911. So when you finally get a hold of them, they're on the beach and saying, I haven't called you, and you have to call back. And what happens for the police department, we actually have to call back 3 times and try to get somebody. And if we can't get a hold of anybody, we'll sit there and send an officer or somebody around if that's possible, if we can locate where they're at. During the summer period, the 911 center saw an increase in overdose responses throughout the jurisdiction, as well as increase in traffic accidents and parking complaints within the city limits. For 2023, it is up over higher than 2022, and it gradually goes up each year. This summer, the Communications Center has continued to operate short-staffed, as it has for the entire year thus far. Despite these challenges, our communication specialists have continued to provide excellent service to the citizens and visitors of Rehoboth Beach and the surrounding 26 square miles that make up Rehoboth Beach Volunteer Fire Department. I think everybody here knows our jurisdiction, but it does go from Angola to the inlet, so it's about 26 square miles that we operate. So you can understand how busy we can get in 911 center if we have an accident out on the highway, as you get multiple calls coming in over the same issue. Our Communication Center accomplished several major goals this summer, including extensive police complaint type update to our CAD system. We established a standardized training process to provide a structured approach, clear guidance, and supportive environment to help new employees be successful during our training program. And we have recently been able to hire 4 new communication specialists, 2 of which have already begun their training. The remaining 2 will start in the near future. And we still have 2 open positions. That's the short report for the 911 Communications Center. Does anybody have any questions before I go into what we saw in the police department?
Anybody?
I have one curiosity, and I don't know if there's any solution to it, but it seems like staffing challenges have been around for a couple of years now, and I'm going to guess, and please correct me, that they may continue into this upcoming season.
It is, especially our 911 center. The big issue with that is, well, it's a national crisis with staffing communication centers, but even in Delaware, it is truly a crisis in all centers. So it's not just Rehoboth Beach. But the biggest, we used to be able to pull from a lot of fire departments. The medics over there, the part-time EMS crews, they would come over because they didn't have pay as well and they didn't have pensions. Well, now with the new law changes and all, they all have pension plans. They all make pretty decent wages, so they don't need to come over to a town or a county to sit there and get hired. So we lost a big pull, and that's been around the country. And also, where this is headed, I don't know, because it's never going to go away. It's a needed job. But yes, I see that as continuing. How our 401k works here, not to get into the weeds, but people that start 19, 20 years of age probably won't stay with the city to their age 60, 65 years of age to be able to get some of the benefits to working here in Rehoboth Beach. So usually we get them to come in at 4 or 5 years, and then they turn on and move over. And it takes about 6 months at the minimum to get them all the credentials that they need. It takes about 1.5 years for them to be comfortable on their own is the process. And it's pretty standard throughout our industry. So that's not just Rehoboth. If we're slower or better, that's pretty standard.
All right.
Just a follow-up
Commissioner
question.
Preston?
You mentioned the 401k program. Could you explain a bit what you meant about that?
That's that's what the city uses. It's not really a 401k. It's a 401. It's just how we process the benefit package, where we don't have a true pension for somebody, say they're here 20, 25 years and can leave.
We do not have the police department has a defined benefit pension.
Not a defined,
The remainder of the employees have a defined contribution plan.
I see.
And that is,
Yes.
Chief and I were talking about that last night on the drive home, this exact topic, and some opportunities and ways that we can address it. I mean, this is like I said, Chief said, this is a nationwide crisis. Big Delaware problem. We have to look at this. We have to take some hard looks at it. Otherwise, we will continue to suffer.
Well, thank you for looking into that, and I'd love to hear what you're thinking about as a solution, if we can in the future.
There is solutions out there, but there'll be hard decisions for the city to make. But I think necessary.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you. Okay, just seeing no other questions, I'll move on to what we saw in the police department. Unfortunately, the police department did not meet our hiring goal this past summer. The summer saw the lowest number of seasonal police officers in recent history, and because of this, there was a lack of presence on the boardwalk, Rehoboth Avenue, and throughout the city, quite frankly. I think I received the calls, and I'm sure each of you did. The 13 seasonal officers hired worked an additional 4 hours each pay period and covered various extra duty assignments, including off-highway safety, pedestrian safety events, farmer markets, and the bandstand events. Although most of the pedestrian safety shifts went uncovered, our police officers handed out and installed over 400 multiple bike safety lights to those without for the bicyclists at night. Officers also handed out traffic safety vests and personal reflective light bands to pedestrians, and as another measure to help to keep people safe while walking at night. As the season ended, we began working with new recruiting efforts and working with the city manager to increase not only the pay rate for these officers, but to provide much-needed bonuses to help with housing and to stay competitive with other agencies. But affordable housing for the seasonal officers, both us and the lifeguards, remains a major concern and increasingly limits the number of viable candidates that the city can employ. This summer, all of our seasonal officers, for the first time, had body cameras. So that was the first time in our history. In turn, we saw complaints against the officers reduced dramatically. So that was a big help. It is a mandatory law for any officer that has contact. So it's not just full-time, it is with our summer officers. It did reduce some complaints dramatically. This was a positive change in equipment issued, but involved some extensive training at the beginning as well as throughout the summer on making sure how things are getting uploaded and make sure they get turned on every time they have contact with someone. Opioid-related responses, I spoke about this once before. We did see an increase this past summer. The Rehoboth Beach Police Department has been actively working with Delaware Health and Social Services services to train persons to use naloxone nasal spray to use to block the effects of opioids. Corporal Jeffrey Bixler conducted multiple training events for restaurant employees and as the head trainer for Delaware Health and Social Services Leave Behind program. And this is a program designed to train families and friends and persons involved in overdose situations. And we leave a kit for them after we train them that they can have in case there's any future events. Not only that, with being 911 center here, we know the local calls on jurisdictions may go outside the 1 square mile that with the police department. We respond out to all those instances too, so we can make sure we leave a kit for the family and give them a quick training. So if something like this happens in the future, we can hopefully save a life. Beach violations were challenges here due to lack of staffing. Officers, both full-time and seasonal, responded to multiple complaints of non-compliant persons with tents, glass containers, and animals on the beach. Although the signage is posted at each beach crossover and additional signs were put down out on the beach, especially on the south side, information available is online. Some are ignoring these regulations and are willing to argue about the rules and regulations. This year, talking with the officers and being down there, we saw more people want to argue with the officers just about, you have to have, you can't have your dog running at large. You had to pick up after your dog and all that. We actually wanted to get arguing with the officers, and then even with the compliance officer, the ambassador on Beach Patrol, would take a tent down and they'd start headed down the opposite way to address something else, and they would put the tent right back up as soon as you leave, and you come back and have to address it again. And same thing with animals. Not sure, hopefully that's not something that happens in 2024, but for some reason this year, we just saw a lot of that. Hey, nobody's gonna be down here checking on me just because you told me. I'm gonna do what I want to do anyway. Just seemed a little bit different. Usually in the past, we've made comments and asked them to take it down, and, oh, sorry, I didn't realize it, and they kept it down. But we saw a little bit more this year of kind of being argumentative. We saw a slight increase in contacts with homeless individuals this past summer. Most of these contacts were due to minor violations, and most subjects had what appeared to be unrelated mental health issues. Each of these subjects was offered information on local resources and reminded of our various ordinances involving littering or loitering, sleeping, camping, things like that. I'm really proud of our police department. I've mentioned this before. We really, I believe, have a good handle on the individuals that are staying or around here that are homeless and need some help. We try to befriend them, try to make contact, and try to get some kind of contact information if something should happen to them, who we could reach out to as a family member or friend, where they're from. And things, and we try to make sure that they're fed and where they're at and taken care of, especially as the winter's coming on. We're not always successful. People have to want help, but we try to make sure we know these individuals and can identify them and where they're at. Disruptive teens, the police department and local businesses saw an increase in disruptive teens and preteens this year. Some of these incidents did not go reported initially. What we were finding is that a lot of the businesses would wait to call us. They would try to handle it, and they'd have multiple incidents over and over, but they didn't call us right away. A lot of it was because they were embarrassed a little bit. The second part, I'm not sure or why, but that was what they were telling us. The other thing is they just didn't have the staffing themselves, so they'd have to leave the business, or they thought they'd have to give a police report. So we'd get, if there was shoplifting or kids going in and picking things up and throwing it around the store, Nerf footballs and things like that, they just didn't have time to deal with it. They need to focus on their customers, and I certainly can appreciate that and understand that. So we'd start seeing reports 1 day, 2, 3 days later from the instance, and it's hard to identify, but we would look at that surveillance as much as we could. This has been a trend many towns, and you see it on the news. New Jersey, I should say Maryland, Dewey Beach, Bethany Beach, South Bethany, all have put curfews in effect and different laws. I don't know that we're there yet. We are monitoring it, and I'll be making reports periodically to the city manager to know that they could bring to this forum if we need to look at that, but we are monitoring that and see what we can do. Because these are usually 12-year-olds, and the courts do not want to deal with that. When we're saying these teenagers, a lot that we're seeing on the boardwalk, we're getting to be 12 years old and 13, and the courts do not want us making arrest on those individuals for disorderly conduct and just criminal mischief and just being a little bit out of control. The other thing we find with that, and it's pretty concise around all the departments that are having these issues, is you can't find the parents anywhere. So that's who we need to address. These parents, in not all cases, but many of the cases, when we call them that we had their parent or had their child, they're like, well, what are they doing in Rehoboth Beach? They didn't even know they were here. And the scary part of it is the parents may not even be in Delaware that we're calling. So that makes it even scary when you're talking 12 or 13-year-olds. Summer challenges, electric bikes, skateboards, hoverboards, electric scooters. Complaints were received in regards to these on the boardwalk at high speeds. Current regulations in other beach resorts and boardwalks utilize the current 3 classification relating to these bikes and adopt the ordinance to limit their use in certain areas. Many of these individuals are using the skateboards, hoverboards, and things, quite honestly, as transportation to get to and from work, to save fuel. Fuel was high this summer, and to save on parking. And so they are actually coming in to work and using this for mode of transportation in a lot of cases. But the problematic part for the police department, we realize they're trying to get to work, but it's actually against the law to be on the boardwalk, Rehoboth Avenue, First Street, and any of those to have skateboards and hoverboards. So it's that balancing act of trying to do enforcement, trying to do the right thing. So we are looking at that. As far as the bicycles, a lot of times they're not engaged on the boardwalk, but at some point, you'll see people engage to e-bikes and start going faster. By then, the foot officers can't do anything about it. They just whiz right by them themselves. And all. So again, not sure I have a solution for that one, because the easiest solution is for people to say, well, don't allow the bicycles on the boardwalk. Well, I think we have history there. It's crowded. We still go to 10 o'clock. So I think we need to try to keep that as open as possible. I think it's just something I know I did with my child, and a lot of others down here have done with their family. So I think it's that balancing act and using common sense. And I always stress this. I have to say it. it's not always the bicyclist issues that happens up there. So many, and there's joggers, walkers with headphones on, and sometimes just decide to go stage right themselves to get off the boardwalk and cut right in front of somebody that's riding a bicycle. So it's just a sheer amount of people up there in the mornings because it's so popular. So we are continue to try to monitor that and keep an even hand on that. This summer, with the passing of HB1 marijuana law, we saw an increase in the smell of burnt marijuana on the boardwalk. The phone calls every day, I know City Hall received them too, is just, well, what are you doing about it? All I can do is smell marijuana down here, cigarettes. It's very hard, and yes, you can actually see somebody smoking it, they're cuffing it in their hand and all that, and a lot of times with the winds, where you can smell it, but okay, who's it coming from exactly? The law is that it cannot be in open. It can be for personal use, but it can't be out in open. And we were seeing that on Boardwalk, the Avenue, even at the bandstand events. And even as you're walking by hotels, there's no smoking in hotels. You see them out on the back balconies and things like that. So again, just something we're monitoring. I don't know if you as commissioners received any complaints on that. I know Town Hall did, and we did, and we are monitoring it. If we see it, we address it as much as possible, but that's another one that's very difficult, and you're right on top of them and see them blow on the smoke. But I did want to put that into my report because that was something that we saw more this year with the passing of the HB1. Bandstand events continue to be very popular. Corey and his team represents the Rehoboth Beach well. I think we all know that. However, we are experiencing safety concerns with vehicles leaving during the performances. And tour buses and school buses continue to be an issue, unloading at the bandstand versus coming up here to Convention Hall. I think we're going to look at some signage. We're trying to sit there and figure out how we can just, with the meters, let people know if we're using the meters, if we can somehow identify as they're paying for those to say, hey, there's an event up here tonight, and between these times, we don't want you moving. So we're trying to sit there and see if that's even a possibility, because if you haven't been up there, what's happening is the event's going on, there's not enough benches, it's crowded up there, people are standing in the roadway, wheelchairs, elderly, young, old, and they're focused on the show, which they should be. Well, then cars start backing out, and then they're just trying to push people away, or they start blowing their horns, and then the officer has to run down and try to back them out as much as possible. Sometimes we can't, then they get very belligerent because they're ready to leave. So we now keep a signboard up there. Doesn't look as attractive, but we do keep a signboard up there letting know people that there is an event and the bandstand will be closed down at this time as far as going through. Doesn't really help with the cars that stays in there, but we are trying to let people know that event beforehand. Community outreach. The department continues to host and participate in community events such as National Night Out throughout the summer, YMCA, Library with Touch a Truck, Burton Village, Coffee with a Cop, Rehoboth Beach Volunteer Fire Company. We help out with different events, and Faith in Blue, and that's just to name a few. And I bring that up because as it's important for the community outreach, but it's not just in town that the officers actually bring their families in and volunteer a lot in town for these events. A lot of them are coach Little League, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, and things like that. So we actually have a good group of men and women at the Rehoboth Beach Police Department that volunteer to the community, not just in Rehoboth Beach, but the surroundings. So I want to talk about, just mention that, and I'm very happy and supportive of that here in Rehoboth Beach. Some quick statistics. I know I've been long-winded up here, is traffic crashes. Everybody wants to talk about traffic crashes. During the summer months, this year, as I mentioned earlier, the dates, we had 126 total crashes in town. For the whole entire 2022, we had 147. So we're going to probably stay on par for that. But here's the interesting thing. Out of that 126, 79 were parking issues. In other words, people trying to park into a parking space and hits a car and things like that. So, we think it is a large number, 126, but it is truly a lot of it is parking issue, because that only leads 47 other accidents, and that's a lot of accidents. I'm not here to say that, but that is just a parking, because then we get a whole nother third of the 47 is just backing out of the post office area and things. Somebody backs into a car there too. But the 79 I was talking about is truly they're already parked and somebody tries to back in. I guess the other scary thing, it's not scary, but disappointing, I guess is a better word. Out of that 79 that people were trying to back into spots or pull in and hit a parked car that's already there, 39 decided to leave without reporting it. Didn't leave a note, didn't call the police to come around and try to make contact. They just left, so we had to take hit and run accident reports after the fact. It's just alarming. I just remember a better day. People did something, they admitted to it and left a note, to give a call or they would call an officer around so we could try to let people know about it. So those are some things about the traffic, the crash reports. I can sit there, go into and say there was 10 bicyclist mopeds incidents. The scary part of that is mostly out of the 10 was open car doors to them. So the bicyclists riding along on Rehoboth Avenue and somebody getting out of their vehicles, hurry up and open the door up. And also then use that results in somebody getting injured. The bicyclists getting injured from that is what we saw. I did want to mention this because we were just talking about traffic stats, and earlier I talked about pedestrian safety, that we do bike lights and things at night. In Delaware, so far in 2023, there have been 17 fatal pedestrian crashes in the state of Delaware. In 2023, 41% of pedestrian fatalities occurred between the hours of 8 p.m. and 12 a.m. Pedestrian fatalities in 2023 most commonly occurred on Wednesday, accounting for 29% of overall pedestrian fatality crashes. In 2022, 33 out of 350 pedestrian crashes were fatal. So that is why we're out there with off-highway safety, doing for intoxicated drivers. That's why we're out there giving out bike lights and handing out reflective vests and encouraging people to make sure that they're wearing bright clothing and all, because thankfully we have a wonderful track record downtown Rehoboth Beach, but so many of our visitors are going out on Route 1, and that's why, again, we help out and work with Department of Transportation, all with the J1 visa students, and all make sure they can ride a bicycle properly, make sure that they know what to do, how to report incidents and stuff like that. So I'll bring that up. Some more quick statistics, and I said this in the communications report. The police incidents was 2,399 for the summer season. All complaints in 2022 were 2,991, so we're going to pass that this year on our complaints by the end of the season, because the report I gave was just for the summer season. It's not the entire year. Burglary incidents, we did have 1 this year so far. In 2022, we had 5, so that's down. And attempted burglaries, we had 3, and in 2022, 4, so that is down. And when I say that, I think it was 1 residence. The other ones have been businesses. And unfortunately, sometimes it's, more times than not, it's a past employee that's going back into the place. So I only add the extra caveat to that because I don't want people to think, we have all these burglaries, because 1 is too many. But at the same time, we do need to be cognizant of our surrounding. And we had 0 robberies last year. We had 1. So overall, our crime rate in Rehoboth Beach is trending down. It has for a few years now. Can't say that everywhere we go. So I'm very proud of that. Domestics are on the rise, and quite honestly, that's usually involving alcohol is the biggest issue to that. I'll finalize by this. I forgot to mention it. Special events and presidential detail. This past summer, officers have staffed 51 events ranging from 3 to 4 hours, requiring 141 officers. Now, that is just for the summer season. That's not before the summer, and it's not what's happening during this fall event. This does not include the fireworks, farmers market, or the bandstand concert series. President Biden has visited Rehoboth area 8 times, resulting in 83 overtime shifts. So that is where a lot of our manpower, and it gets very difficult to be proactive in things when we ask where's the summer officers at, where's the full-time officers at when they're taking care of these special events. To show the issue that we have going on, and obviously the events are great, they have to happen and all that, but it comes a personnel issue. I have 17 full-time officers, 2 are in the academy, so we have a total of 19. last week, let's just use Saturday, we had 3 officers working day work, 3 officers working at night shift. So we couldn't use them for a special event, so we needed, with the block party, jazz festival, and the bark dogs on the boardwalk, whoever took 9 officers for that. Therefore, out of 17 officers, 15 of our officers had to be mandated to sit there and work, to sit there and make sure all the events are covered. Because the one thing I will always do, and maybe other departments don't do this, if we get the request and somebody's willing to pay for us to make an event safe and be at intersections, if it's a bike event or a foot race or whatever, we're going to man it no matter what. Because I do not want somebody to come back ever to Rehoboth Beach Police Department or say Rehoboth Beach and say, hey, we were willing to pay, you didn't have it, and somebody got injured, so who's to blame and all that stuff. So again, I just bring it to your attention. I'm not saying we should do away with events. It's great. I love all these events, but it does take a toll when individuals can't get their time off or whatever and coming in. And so I just bring that out for when we look at future staffing and all, and it did put even more burden with the lack of summer officers. So I know I threw a lot at everyone. I apologize, but I could talk more if you would like. But do you have any questions?
Anybody? Thank you, Chief. We
Okay.
appreciate it
All right, no, thank you.
very much. And we appreciate your written reports that are separate also. Thank you. With that, Kevin Williams, Public Works.
Oh, wrong one. There we go. Thank you, Mayor, as you're heading out the door. We had a really good summer from the Public Works Department. You know, for the last 2 years, we've been really lucky with our staffing. Through leadership of the city's allowed us to do some incentivizing of recruitment, retention, all those kind of things. So we didn't really lose anybody this year. We kind of asked one guy not to come back, but we had virtually a full staff the entire time, and we actually brought on a couple extra guys, anticipating some losses, and we didn't lose them. So it worked out really well for us. So it really makes, certainly with the streets department, their job a lot easier, keeping up with trash and those kind of things during the summer when everybody's really busy. In the water department, kind of see our numbers for the water department for this year and how they trended comparison to the previous 2 years. Been trending down, probably attributable to water conservation. People are getting tired of the high water bills and conserving more, but down about 350 million gallons that we did over that summer period. The wastewater department, a little trending the other way, which we're a little not concerned about, but we're just keeping an eye on in that, the wastewater treatment has trended up over the last couple of years. So just keep an eye on it. Some of that due to the increased flow that we're getting from Sussex County with that new connection out there, which is all good because they pay for that. So good. It's certainly within our capacity, and most notable for the wastewater department is we kept it all in the pipes. So it's always a good thing. Streets department, there's kind of a look at our solid waste trash. In the last couple of years, it does also show a little bit trending down, which is a good thing. But still, that's a lot of trash. Boardwalk recycling, just because we've talked about that the last few years. It was a program we wanted to start up and did a couple years ago. Again, the results of it aren't all that great. It's a very, very low percentage. I think we're at 10% of the bags picked up overall were clean. It could actually be recycled. The rest ended up going in the normal trash. Again, I think I've told you before, I don't find that as a bad thing. It's still, we got cans out there. People are putting it in a can instead of putting it on a beach or on a boardwalk. So even if it services as just another trash receptacle, that's good for us. It doesn't really take us any additional time or effort to dump those. It is a little bit I will say this, much better than the previous year. I think we had like one bag. The previous year it was clean. So this year we're at least seeing a trend upward, which is good. And the real good news is the use of the recycle yard for drop off has gone up considerably. So this was a great number. I thought 689 That does include yard waste, which we now take down on drop-off days, but it's about 75% recycled, 25% yard waste. So having that open 3 days a week has been a real success for us. With that, I'll answer any questions you might have.
Any questions?
Too easy.
None for me.
Go ahead. I like when
That doesn't happen very often.
your business is quick as my business. Well, thank you, Kevin. We'll move on to the next item, which is Communications Department. Lynn Cohen, please.
If I can find mine. Nope. I had it up. Just bring it up again. Okay, well, good afternoon. So I have a quick update for you on some of our engagement and outreach platforms, and my report is a year-to-date report. So the city utilizes several social media channels. Facebook is our primary and largest one. Instagram also is popular. We continue to use Twitter or X, but not as much as we used to, and we added LinkedIn to the portfolio this year. Just a couple of notes. Page reach, what that means is that is the number of unique people who have seen a piece of content on the social media site. So over 184 posts on Facebook, 1,305,000, and 740, I guess, people have seen a post. And then engagement is the number of times that someone has liked, commented, clicked, or shared a post. And I'd like to use our social media as an opportunity to be a little bit less governmenty, to have a little bit of personality for the city. And the post that I am sharing with you is the top post ever that I have experienced, and it is of our street supervisor, Mike Peterman, helping someone retrieve their keys from a storm drain. And as you can see, 5,900 people engaged with that post. Some of our other communication tools include lines in the sand. We continue to grow that audience. The number in parentheses are the number of subscribers at the beginning of the year. Also, our beacon alerts are growing at a slower rate, but we started that about 1.5 years ago, and we use it for when there's something not the way it should be in town. So we try to limit its use to that, not to general notices. And my philosophy is that when people get a text from the city, I hope they pay attention to it and not go, oh, not this city again. And there are 19 alerts as of today, because we did send one out. Media relations is part of my responsibility. We have sent out 31 press releases. We also respond to inquiries from the press. So in my previous communication positions with local government, I used to have to beg on my knees for TV to come cover a story about my city. I don't have that problem in Rehoboth. So, and then related to what Chief said, we have processed and approved 71 special event applications this year, and that does not include the bandstand concerts, fireworks, or the tree lighting event. And then, as you know, we launched Reach Out Rehoboth, a new digital engagement platform, on August 25th. And since that time, we've had 1,264 people participate and then click on their link to confirm their participation. And of those 1,264, 552 are verified city stakeholders. So people, we carefully designed our registration questions to try to be able to determine who we're hearing information from. Is it visitors? Is it residents? Is it area folks? Sometimes people got confused and they would, for example, check that they visit Rehoboth Beach, and then they check the neighborhood that they visit. So when we searched for city stakeholders, they would come up. So I actually went through all the registrations and checked those, and there are 552 that are confirmed city stakeholders. That means a resident, a property owner, or a business owner within the city limits. To date, we've had 2,302 contributions to the site. We have closed 2 tools that we launched with. Our first hot topic survey had over 2,000 responses. In the traffic and parking map exercise, there were 55 suggestions provided from 31 contributors. Next week, we're planning to launch our parking and traffic survey related to the ongoing study. And then the engagement image there, so that is provided through the platform, and the largest number is the number of people who are aware of information on the site, and that means they've made at least one visit to the site. The informed orange represents someone who has clicked on something on the site, and the teal represents someone who is engaged. That's someone who's actually contributed to a project page, a tool on a project page. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Commissioners, Commissioner Barker?
I did one. Has there been any thought to add to your portfolio threads, the Facebook, or made a Twitter type?
I have considered it. I'm kind of keeping an eye on it to see how it goes and to see if there's enough oomph there and longevity for us to go to threads. Anyone else?
Lynn, I've got one. I thought of you the other day when I opened my Delmarva Power bill. And I love to open my Delmarva Power bill because I have solar panels. So the reason I love to open it is because it's always so low. And as I went through it, there was an insert in there reminding me that I can contribute to a fund for underprivileged, for energy services, especially for the upcoming winter. And I was so glad to get that because they told me exactly what to do, where to send the money, and how to do it. So I took them up on their offer. And I wondered if we do not normally do inserts in our water bill with my trash line, because it came on the same day as Delmarva Power, because I was thinking to myself as I opened my bill, it would have been nice, maybe, for us to put something in to remind folks that they can contribute in some way to the city of Rehoboth Beach. One good example, which is one of my favorite things, is the commemorative tree before the end of the year, because it is tax deductible. Sure. But I don't seem to get any interest or energy about inserts. So is that just too much for us, or we found it's not effective, or?
Well, I know that we have used it once since I have been here. I think it was tips about conserving water. It definitely is a channel that we could use, and Kevin and I are planning to put an insert in the January bill related to the cross-connection control program.
Yes, and I think I read that somewhere, but what I was thinking about is if we want to make certain, and maybe we don't want to make certain, that folks know they can buy a commemorative leaf before the end of the year, it's important that it's before the end of the year.
The bills are mailed, as my understanding, I'm not an expert on this, is that they're mailed quarterly, and the next mailing is January.
That's my point. We've missed an opportunity in September
Right.
where we cut off the billing. So I just kind of want to float that idea again.
I can make a note of that for next
That
year.
it would be, maybe there are lots of folks in town that don't know about the commemorative tree program. I don't know.
Absolutely.
But anything you could put on your list of things to do.
Okay.
Or things to even think about, food for thought.
Sure.
Thank
you.
Can I add to that the Trees and Green Infrastructure Committee met this morning, and that was one of our topics of conversation, was making a end of the year appeal for the commemorative tree program. We were going to talk to you about it, so I'll give you a heads up. I'd also like to question, are we speaking in terms of a paper water bill that you're lying on your veranda checking your mail?
I get my paper water bill in the mail. I do.
Right, you do. I'm just
And
curious what the mix
my neighbor next
is.
door, who does not, she's not here, so I pick up her mail, even though she has the electronic setup with the city, she gets her receipt by mail.
Okay, but I'm just curious in terms of how many people get it electronically
I don't know
versus
the
paper.
answer to that, but I'm one of them.
Okay, well, you are. There you go. All right.
Anybody else? Thank you very much, Lynn. With that, you'll see in the agenda our additional building and licensing report, police department report, and alderman court report that we don't go over because they are included as a support document embedded in the agenda. With that, we'll move on to the next item of business, which is board and commission reports. And I have to apologize, the Board of Adjustment did send me a report, and I forgot to embed it, so I'll do that after the fact. So expect Monday or Tuesday that to be available. And I didn't receive reports from the Parks and Shade Tree Commission nor the Planning Commission. With that, we'll move on to committee reports. None are identified, and so we finally get to the liaison reports. The first is from the Chamber of Commerce. I'm the liaison for that group. Carol Everhart's not able to be here today. You'll find embedded in the agenda her document that has some data on it. Really, it's best to go read it, and she's got some data, including that in September, comparison from September this year to September last year, occupancy went up and down, so it's not straight one direction or the other. It also touts the Chamber of Commerce for their Sea Witch Festival and the awards they've been recognized by USA Today for the Sea Witch Top Halloween Parade. United States or U.S. News Report, Sea Witch is the top fall festival, and also received a top Delaware event winner. So again, take a look at the embedment in the agenda. With that, the Historical Society has no report this month. We're still looking for a liaison. The Main Street is here. Commissioner Ed Chernowski is the liaison, but we have the Main Street folks here live. So we'll identify yourselves if you would, Cindy. And
Cindy Lovett, Fort Canal Street, board member of Main Street. And I just have a couple quick updates to give you guys. I talk fast, so we'll do that. Our walking tour is still available. If anybody has family in town and you don't know what to do while you're waiting for your reservation, on your phone, you can just go to our website at downtownrb.com and take our historic walking tour on your phone. It's really a lot of fun, and it's narrated by Leanne Hansen from NPR, so it's pretty cool. Wreaths Across America, it's coming up December 16th at 11:30 at the Epworth Cemetery on Henlopen Avenue. If anybody hasn't been there before, this is our third year, and it is really a moving event. We have a couple brief speakers, and the pastor from Epworth Church is going to deliver the prayers this year. ROTC will present the colors. We expect to lay 180 wreaths, and we're going to be having a lunch afterward, which I'm really excited to. I learned just about before I came to this meeting that the fire department is going to allow us to use the upstairs for a luncheon, and Community Bank has donated the money to have a lunch, and also some towards next year's wreaths. And we also, Eric Corpon and Mike Simpler are the ones that arranged that to allow us to use upstairs. So I was really happy, and we'll make a donation to them. And thank you to the city for helping us out with the podium, the mic, the tables, the chairs. We really do appreciate the help for this because it's just a great nationwide event. And we would like to invite the mayor and commissioners. I know Mayor Mills, you're going to be speaking. Thank you. And the commissioners, we'd love to have you just come and lay a wreath at the ceremony. Rehoboth and Bloom has a whole lot going on right now. We are having a lunch at the 3rd floor of City Hall. Thank you to Margaret, who's not here, who arranged it for us. We have 51 Rehoboth and Bloom folks signed up out of 70 to come to the lunch. We have 20 of our volunteers who have been with us all 5 years. We are finishing up our 5th year, and we had hats embroidered at Sashi Chic that say 5-year volunteer with our logo. So we have 20 of those people we're going to honor at the lunch, which is really exciting. Transition Day, the day we pull our annuals out and put our pansies and Dusty Miller in, that will be the 30th and 31st. If you see our gang out there, thank them. And we have 649 plants being delivered by Peppers that will be planted in the planters. The plan is to leave the canal side garden flowers in until the frost makes us take them out. So we thank you so much to the city for allowing us to do this major project. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but we're hearing such wonderful kudos on this, and we have a team down there that's there every week on Monday mornings at 8:30 because they don't like getting up, so they're an 8:30 group. But we now have 103 planters and 70 volunteers, so we are really, really proud of this, and we thank the city. I've already emailed Mike Peterman to let them know when we're going to be removing the flowers, because we take the big brown bags and we put them out on the sidewalk, and the guys come around in a truck and they just pick them up and take them out for us. I don't know how we would get rid of all that any other way. So we really, really appreciate the city's involvement and help with Rehoboth and Bloom. Any questions, comments?
Just a clarification, Cindy.
Yes.
Could you restate the transition date for
Yes.
Rehoboth Avenue?
Monday the 30th and Tuesday the 31st. We have a couple different groups.
Of October.
Of October, yes.
Thank you.
We like to wait till after Sea Witch.
Yeah.
Because there can be damage, and
Yes.
we'll just let them damage the annuals. We're going to pull them out the next day anyway, so.
Thank you.
That's it. Okay.
Thank you. Cindy, if I recall correctly, the garden up by the museum got a Main Street
Yes.
Award.
Yes.
Or actually, the city was recognized as an award.
Exactly.
So the city was recognized an award for that garden that
Yep.
you initiated and you designed and you
I know,
planted.
but the city gave us the approval. Without that, it never would, and it's city property, so it just seemed to make sense that we should thank the city for giving us that opportunity, because all you had to do is say no. I don't know if anybody, I know Lynn had pictures of before and after. If you remember what it looked like before, it was just this like half-dead patch of grass. And
Well, ultimately, we thank you.
Well, thank you, and we thank you guys, because it really was a team effort. Liz was great. She's not here, but we also got, I don't know if anybody, Senator Lopez donated $16,000 before he left, and Mariah from Dogfish Head, donated $6. So that's where the funding came from, and we are still trying to get a sign that says the sponsors and the city logo will be on that, because we want to be sure that the city is recognized in that project also.
Very good.
So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Dan?
Aye. Well, good afternoon, Mayor, City Manager, and Commissioners. I have a big announcement. Rehoboth Beach Main Street is proud to announce that the 2023 Citizen of the Year Award goes to Carol Everhart. We're really proud. We are honored to celebrate her 34 years of service and her contributions to this town. So also, Rehoboth Beach Main Street is proud to announce the Champion of the Year, who volunteers a lot of her time, goes to Jenny Burton. Jenny Burton serves 5 years on our board of directors at Rehoboth Beach Main Street, also is the chair of our promotion committee, and is an active volunteer in our community. So these awards will be presented at the Community Unity Dinner. So we were very honored this year to announce that. Just a little thing is about Main Street. Our Community Unity Dinner is on Sunday, December 3rd from 4:30 to 7. Hopefully the commissioners can attend and help serve, and the mayor. So we look forward to that. We have created a holiday stroll, which is the second year, on Sunday, December 10th from 1 to 4. It's just Santa walking, and elves and just lots of cheer, carolers. So it's just a good time to come downtown, shop, have dinner, and dine, So also moving forward into 2024, we're working on plans. This is the gumbo crawl again. Will be on March 30th of 2024. Our huge fashion show, which involves service industry, retailers, will be on Sunday, April 21st from 4:30 till 7. Our RBMS newsletter is in progress for November. I've spoken many times about this. Our newsletter, we have a 65% open rate. And we also put a lot of the city activities that are going on with the city, and we feel save the date activities coming up. So we feel our newsletter is really becoming very popular. Our social media, we promoted some events. One event was the Mrs. Roper Romp. It had 51,000 views. So it's a nationwide thing. We supported it. Also, our team of volunteers are actively working on the city grant request and will meet the deadline for that. Any other questions?
Commissioners?
No, I'm just thrilled that you're going to meet that deadline
Yeah.
for the grant report. Good for y'all.
Thank you. And
You're the
thank
first
my
ones-
volunteers.
You're the first ones to even bring it up. That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. With that, we'll move to the next liaison report is for the Cape Henlopen Senior Center. The liaison, again, is Commissioner Ed Stranowski. He's not here, so we'll defer on that. With that, we get to the liaison report for the public library. We do have Commissioner Patrick Gossett and Commissioner Bunky Markert as liaison to the public library for that task force, but we also have Board Member Kay Wheatley here. So you fight over who goes and says what.
Kay has a full report as the board president. So, Kay, thank you for being here.
Thank you guys for having us, and I just want to thank everybody and welcome you. I'll just say ahead of time, if you want any further information on the library and our plans, just give me a call or an email. Patrick knows me, Stan knows me, and I'd be happy to meet with you and fill you in.
Thank you.
Okay? Just to give you all an update, over the last month, we have been taking steps moving forward for the renovation of the downtown location. Right now, it's estimated that the investment's going to be between $5 and $6 million that will go down there. We appointed a design/construction committee to just help go through the process. It has 4 task force members and 3 board members that are doing that. And we directed Craig Williams from Becker Morgan to develop 3 options of how we could best use the building based on the information from the task force and what they wanted to see in the building when it was done. So the committee met, just kind of went over things, asked any questions, had Craig refine a few things, and then we took it to the task force. And the task force made a recommendation to the board to select option C. Where I was earlier today, while I was late, I was at a board meeting where we approved the selection of option C, which it encompasses the current entrance and goes down through the center of the building and the second story. It's approximately 7,533, this is approximate, feet of the 11,400 feet that are being used. And it, every effort will be made to rent the remaining space, square footage, that's the part next to the summer house, for a complementary use to the library, not commercial, so to speak. There are no plans to sell any portion of the building. We will be, one of the things that we need to do as our first next step is to work with you all to find out, I'm kind of looking for some direction, to see if it would be possible for us to switch the existing agreement from one end of the building, one end of the lot, to the other end of the lot. There are 3 lots there. Right now, the agreement for library services is for the end by the summer house. We are asking that the agreement just be swapped so that it's the end by the alley. I'm not even sure what business is next door.
Eastern end.
Yeah, where the current entrance is. We also approved a proposal from Becker Morgan for Craig to be able to start on conceptual designs for that part. I don't want to do that. I don't want to spend the money to do that until we know that we can work out something with the town. So if I can get some direction on what to do with that, that would be helpful. And then once he has conceptual drawings, we're shooting for, I'm hoping by like mid-November, they will go before the design construction committee and before the task force for any further input before going to the board. We will also be able to then determine true, this sounds like a twist of words, true approximate cost once there are better drawings. And then we have $3 million definitely towards the 6. It's the ARPA money. We chose not, when it was originally applied for, it was applied for the downtown location. We have chosen not to change that, so that will all be used for downtown. Based on how the costs come in, we'll figure out what we have left to do to raise. We do have some bond bill money available. And then in January, we would like to start the process of hiring a construction manager at risk, partly to help with the development of value engineering as the drawings are coming in, to look for ways to save money that don't really change the look. And I'm thinking the task force and, well, not the board, but we'll take a break over the holidays from sometime before Thanksgiving until the first of the year. And after the first of the year, the task force would reconvene to start the same process with the Warrington Road location. Any questions or comments?
Thank you, Kay. I think the guidance you're seeking would come from this board at a future meeting. I'll pencil in November workshop meeting.
Okay.
To introduce the topic and start the discussion. And then as early as a mid-November, a regular meeting vote possibly. And then I'll get together with you to see what, if any, support documents we might want for that.
Okay, just let me know what you need and we'll go from there.
Thank you very much. Anybody? Commissioner Preston?
Yeah, Mayor, thank you. And thank you for your offer. I do have just some ignorant questions just because I'm new. You mentioned that there were several options and you have chosen option C. How aware are the residents of the city of Rehoboth Beach about these options?
Well, all of the task force meetings have been open to the public and have been advertised, so they could attend. We are planning, I didn't want to do a press release until we knew it had been approved, and that was the direction we were going. So in fact, the meeting I was at before this one, I shared that I would like to do a press release showing the option C. It's just a bubble. It's not conceptual drawings. It just kind of marks out how much of the building and which end of the building. I mean, I'm totally open to suggestions.
Yeah, I think that we ought to consider as a board here how we engage the city of Rehoboth Beach in this. This seems like not a small decision that's being made about our library.
Well, there's 2 representatives on the task force and have attend the meetings.
I think to sort of address, not to sort of, but to address your questions, the combination or the options developed were the use of, if you will, there are 3 lots. If you go 1, 2, and 3, 1 being next to Summer House, the center lot number 2, and the 3rd lot being the closest to the ocean. This is the development of the lot closest to the ocean in the center lot. That first lot right next to Summer House is looked at to be retail space. They're working with more of an educational group is the intention for that. And it really works out from the presentation of what the task force met and the needs described by the task force, that those needs were best addressed by the square footage available in the center section and the section closest to the lot closest to the ocean, because it has a 2nd floor on it. There's just more space available. And I know that the task force was there, voted on it. I noticed that Cape Gazette wasn't attended that meeting, so I guess that's one of the range of reasons to get it out. I'm sorry? Okay, well, it was posted, and I guess, who's your firm?
Horizon Philanthropic.
Horizon Philanthropic.
They conduct the meetings.
Yeah. I don't know if you have anything else to add to that.
attend, so.
But it really, the proposals A, B, and C that met it, I think, are the best utilization of the parcels as described by the design consultant Craig Williams from Becker Morgan. And again, just a reminder in the sense that the city has a deed restriction on the one lot, but we don't own any of the building. So we really can't, even though it's a public service to the city, and we do provide funding for support of the library, we have no ownership in the building. So it is a relationship that's unique because we do own the buildings where Historical Society, Main Street, and the Chamber are located. Those are all city buildings that we either provide in complementary space or retail or rental space. But this is not that situation. So we have a voice, certainly, but we don't own the building.
Yeah, so Commissioner Gossett, I appreciate all of that. And again, I don't know all the details that you just explained, and I do appreciate understanding those. Something doesn't feel exactly right about this to me, however. It feels like we as a board owe it to the public that we serve to describe this to them in a meeting here, not to expect them to attend task force meetings, that we should put it on an agenda here at this board and have a full discussion about it so that they're aware. It doesn't feel like we should be taking a decision about a next step if we haven't informed the public ourselves about what's going on.
I agree with you, but a few minutes ago, I indicated that we would be most likely putting this on the November workshop meeting, and I think that's the first introduction we would get, hearing from them, and then our debating, and then most likely there'll be perhaps a lines in the sand that we generate, perhaps the Cape Gazette, or I'm sure the Cape Gazette will do coverage of that workshop meeting before we go back, and I think we all have to feel satisfied that we've heard enough from the public before we vote on it. That's why I indicated at the earliest, it would be the November regular meeting. So I hear you, absolutely.
Mayor, I had not understood that you were talking about this as sort of a starting point of the discussion.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
And Mayor, I just need one clarification on that. I hear what you're saying. I hear what everybody's saying as a starting point for us, but didn't I also hear the decision's already been made?
No, you heard that the board has approved the recommendation of the task force. Okay? I'm waiting to release Becker Morgan until we have things worked out with the city.
And you want
Because I don't want to spend the money.
I got it.
Their option C would violate our contract with them.
Right.
Right.
So they need to explain to us and approach us, and then we need to be able to deliberate and say whether we're amenable to modifying the MOU or contract, whatever it is.
The deed restriction.
And what the deed restriction and what the conditions might be if we go that direction. So they need us to act on that before they can make their final task to their architect to indeed go with option C.
And what's the date that you wanted to do that with your architect?
I would like to release them sometime in November, but I've told them I have to come to you first, and that we'll see. You know, if it's January, fine. I can release them, like, say you make a decision, what would it be, the third Thursday or third Friday of the month after your workshop and then the regular meeting, if it goes that far, then I could release them to do that over the holidays, but the task force wouldn't get back together or get information until after the first of the year.
Got it. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Any other questions? And just so you know, I have met with the treasurer and we are working on the grant.
Thank you. Thank you. With that, that closes the liaison reports, and I was hopeful of getting to the first public hearing in under 2 hours, and by golly, we've done it. Oh, goodness. So next item of business is a public hearing on the matter of amending Chapter 270, the zoning code, Sections 270-56 and 270-66, relating to canopy and marquee sign definitions and requirement. Evan, are you taking that topic? We have in front of us and embedded in the agenda the proposed ordinance. I want a reminder that we were first introduced to this back in August 31st, and then it was also presented in September 15th without any changes. So we've seen it is not new. And also want to remind everybody that this is seeking an amendment to the zoning code, which requires a public hearing, and also a reminder when we give a vote that we want to give a rationale for giving our vote one way or the other. Evan?
Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon, Mayor, Commissioners, and members of the public. Before you is an ordinance to amend Chapter 270 zoning in the Municipal Code of the City of Rehoboth Beach, specifically Sections 56 definitions and Section 66 regulations applicable in commercial districts. Again, relating to canopy and marquee signs. So you'll recall several meetings ago, we had an ordinance, and that pretty much addressed canopy and marquees that encroach over public property or public space. And so as a result of passing that ordinance, we also needed to codify the definition of canopy and marquee signs, as well as some of the requirements for those types of signs. I believe this ordinance has been before you twice now, and so today is the public hearing for this ordinance since it is a zoning matter. That's all I have, Mayor.
Very good.
I'll take that back. I do have one thing I wanted to add. Commissioner Gossett reminded me that there is a table of signs in the zoning code. I have amended that table, and if you'll bear with me just 1 minute, I'll provide that. I'll pull it up from my email and show that to you. Again, it is just a table which specifies what types of signs are applicable or allowed in the different zoning districts that we have. So I have updated that table to include canopy signs and marquee signs.
All right, let's pause and look for that if you don't mind.
Well, if you could, it's going to take me a minute just to log into my email. So if you want to open the public hearing or.
Okay. Is there any initial comments by the commissioners, or do we want to go right to the public? I'm going to go right to the public. This is a public hearing. Is there anybody that would like to speak? Anybody out there? Come on. Carolyn, Pat? No, I'm trying to stretch this out.
That's not the game, Mayor, to stretch it out.
I have. Do you want me to email it to you?
I'm trying to figure,
If you just go to your email, pull it up, it'll come right up.
I'd have the authenticator go out, right, every time.
And there's a copy of the amended table. I'll make sure to provide Ann a copy as well for the agenda. Let me blow that up a little bit.
Can you enlarge? There
Yes.
you go. And it's hard to see, let you point out, I guess it's in, the
Sure.
changes are in blue.
That's correct. Yeah, the additions are in blue. So you'll see we've added to the type of sign canopy, and then there are columns for the zoning districts. So again, they're consistent with the awning sign and the requirements in those zoning districts. So not allowed in residential, but allowed in the C1, C2, and C3 districts. Same for marquee, which has been added as well.
That satisfy you, Commissioner
Yes,
Gossett?
certainly. Yes.
Very good. again, we went to the members of the public. A member of the public just came in. Do you have anything to say about this? This is a public hearing. He waves us away, so we'll.
Mayor, if I may, I would like,
Close the public hearing and
then I'd like to make a motion to amend Chapter 270 zoning of the municipal code of the city of Rehoboth Beach by amending Section 56 definitions and Section 66 regulations applicable in commercial districts relating to canopy and marquee signs, along with the updating of 270 Attachment 2 of the sign requirements per zoning district in Table 2-1.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Patrick Gossett and a second by Commissioner Tony Sharp to amend Chapter 270 zoning code, Sections 270-56 and 270-66, as well as the table of signs, right?
Attachment 2.1 under zoning code. Yes.
All righty, we'll add that in there. Are there any discussion? If not, I'll do a roll call vote. Remember, this is a zoning issue. You need to give a reason or rationale for what your vote is. We'll start with Commissioner Don Preston.
I support this. I vote aye. And the reason for that is it makes clear what our intentions are with regards to canopies and marquees by per zoning district.
Thank you. Commissioner Tony Sharp.
I vote aye for the same reasons stated as Commissioner Preston.
Commissioner Gossett.
Aye, the same reasons stated.
Commissioner Bennett.
Aye for reasons stated previous.
Commissioner Markert.
Aye for reasons stated.
And the chair also votes aye for the reasons stated by everybody. Thank you very much. With that, we're going to move on to the next item of business, which is the first item of old business, continued discussion on Sister City's fountain project at Garden of the Navigators, and consider authorization of two items, the final landscaping plan, and number two, a memorandum of understanding or contract. Who is sponsoring this?
Take this one, Mayor. And I know Pat Galuzzi's here too as well, so I may turn it over to her. I am filling in for Liz today since she's out. So before you is a draft memorandum of understanding. This MOU, the template for the MOU is actually taken from the Canalside Garden project, which Cindy Lovett had mentioned earlier. It's pretty much the same memorandum of understanding. What we outline in here is that the Sister Cities is agreeable to fund the installation, softscape, irrigation, and labor costs of $10,167.54. There is an attachment to that MOU, which is the Spizzato proposal for the softscape, the fountain installation, the landscaping plan, as well as the irrigation proposal. We are just awaiting final legal review for this. Again, I apologize. I did get this document over to the solicitor about 3 days before this meeting, so apologize for that. But this is the draft MOU, and again, I know Pat is here to answer any questions. I'm certainly here as well. So,
thank you, Evan. I'll let Pat talk, then we'll talk about timeline here.
Mayor, if I could, just one second.
Yes.
This particular MOU, we learned a little bit over the last several months, and I believe Evan has done a great job tightening up this memorandum of understanding to really clarify roles, responsibilities, duties, how this is going to be shared jointly between the city and the sister cities, who pays for what, when that is going to be paid, and at what time. So I'm comfortable at this point that there was some consternation when I first arrived about memorandums of understanding, and I think we can kind of move forward with this one pending the legal review to see if this would be binding on both parties, because I think it should be. So that's all I have, and I'll turn it back over to you, sir.
Yeah, I think it's apropos from my comment right at this point before we go to Pat, in that I've had a few constituents concerned with the caliber and forceability of a memorandum of understanding, and their references were to the Canal Bank MOU, which, in my opinion, was kind of poorly done, I'm sorry, but it was done after the fact, after the commissioners already acted on something, and it didn't seem to have any teeth. And so I was worried about this, whether we should change it to a memorandum of agreement so that it had more of a contract component to it or not. And I believe I'm satisfied with this in this respect. The MOU essentially is agreeing to accept ownership of it and maintenance costs after installation of the fountain and installation of landscaping by the Sister Cities group. Well, the point is, if they don't pay the money, then they're not getting it installed. So I'm comfortable that this is probably adequate, but again, I think the legal review is still necessary. Pat, do you want to offer anything?
The only thing I would say is at our last presentation, there was the idea that we were looking for the city to pay for part of this installation, the Sposato installation and the Sposato irrigation. We've been able to figure out a way to raise enough money to pay for the entire cost, which was different from what we had said the last time. So we are in fact ready today to give you a check for the half that's required by the Memorandum of Understanding. The design, I had spoken with Liz, and we've agreed to just move forward with what's in the design. There may be some, slight modifications by Liz or someone else, depending upon what's needed there. But other than that, we're prepared to move forward.
Thank you. I don't know if anybody has any questions. My preference would be that when we have a special meeting on the day, if you would look up the day of the November workshop, when we have that special meeting, we will have the opportunity to vote on it at that point. So that would be November 6th. So that gives us time to have our legal review, and then we have that opportunity rather than waiting to the November regular meeting.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that seemed to be very important to Liz is they need to get, if they're going to start it in the fall, because in spring, Sposato's just way too busy.
Right.
So the sooner the better.
Sure. Well, that's why I would rather postpone it for the legal review, but do it as soon as possible. Any other commissioners?
I had one question.
Yes, sir.
One of the issues seemed to be that we thought, or I think everybody thought, that some of the landscaping costs might have been a bit high. Did you guys negotiate with them?
We have not at this point. In talking with Liz, if Sposato hasn't gotten back to us, we didn't want to wait too long. If it turns out that the price is going to be less than the $10,000 quoted, then I'm sure the city's going to just, charge us for what in fact was installed. So,
thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
I do.
Yes.
I'm not going to go on about my position on memos of understanding, because you've heard it before. You heard it last year at the budget discussions. But I am curious, Pat, are the remaining funds already in your possession?
Yes, they're committed.
So there's a difference between being committed and in your possession.
True. They're not in our possession. They probably could be tomorrow, but they're not
But it's more
this minute.
It's more like people have pledged
Yes.
to do that, and they may
Correct.
or may not live up to that pledge.
Most of it is the people on the board, so I would assume that they would live up to their pledge.
Understood.
Okay.
Understood.
Yeah.
I think that's it for me right now, and I completely support you, Mayor, that this needs to wait for the legal review, just to put a fine point on it.
Thank you very much. Go ahead.
Just a comment, and I noticed in the memorandum of understanding that they spelled out the dollar amount of $10,167.54, which is the Sposato landscape proposal, and then also a secondary proposal for, water service and what have you. But if we are reviewing to reference in the memorandum of understanding the actual contract, because in the contract, it talks about contract price. The contract price herein has been calculated based upon the existing rates, prices, and costs for labor, fuel, and other expenses necessary to perform the services, yada, yada, reserves the right to increase the price of the contract by any amount sufficient to cover the increases, cost, and services or other durations of the contract. So if we're only spelling out the exact dollar amount that's spelled out in the contract, it leaves no option for this contract price, which I understand the city is signing, which concerns me in that sense, but is it the city contract or is it sister cities contract? So again, just a clarification to tie those escalation clauses in to.
In the MOU?
Yeah.
Yes. Got it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Well, the city's the signatory on the contract with Spasado, correct?
That's what I understand it to be, yeah.
Okay.
And Pat, could you remind me, where is the fountain located today? Where is it?
Streets Department.
It's at, Kevin Williams has
Kevin
it in his
has it.
backyard, doesn't he?
Right.
Yeah.
Testing it
Yeah.
out.
Yes, Kevin has it. Okay, and I'm just very curious, you don't have to answer this if you choose not to. From where we had the discussion last meeting on the funding, what changed that it's now
Well,
with Sister Cities?
Okay, I will answer this question.
Okay.
I didn't want any pushback from either the commission or the public about us not paying our part in making this garden. I'm very proud of the garden. I'm very proud of our relationship with our sister city. And I think the city is also, we had a wonderful, when they visited us in April, it was very nice. And the city showed put their best foot forward. And I wanted to remain very positive.
Thank you. I think you did the exact right thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Any members of the public like to comment? Nope. All right, so we'll go with that program. November 6th, we'll have this on the agenda during the special meeting, so that usually starts at 2 o'clock.
No, I will not be here. I will not be in town. In fact, I will be in Italy. So talking to our sister city because their 500-year anniversary is coming up and our participation in that in April. So it's a pre-planning session, and as you may know, you may not know, that Governor Markell is now the ambassador to Italy and is very interested in all of this. So
Pat, while you're there,
Yeah.
could you go around and look at other terracotta fountains and talk to people and see if they actually hold up particularly well over the
it's
season?
interesting. I should share some photos with you. When this was donated to us, we went to I don't know how many acres it was, of fountains and all kinds of things where people would come and purchase, fountains, containers, whatever, and they are out there all year long, and they don't even cover them. I'm assuming that when there's a bowl with water is in it, they have to be drained, because if it freezes, I think there's a potential for that. Oh, there it is.
I would think so.
There's the picture. So,
Well, it's funny because I did have a constituent call after our last meeting, very, very negative about it. And I said, I know that there are terracotta, beautiful fountains all over Europe. And they don't seem to have a great deal of uneasiness about them.
No.
It must work, but I'm sure it will present work for the public works folks just to make sure it is what we do, Kevin. Thank you. And get that fountain out of your backyard. But thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Pat. Ann? All right, we'll move on to the next item of old business, which is to consider reappointment of Stephen Simmons to Board of Elections. I introduced my suggested nomination at the last meeting, and we had discussion. So at this point, I would entertain a motion to reappoint Stephen Simmons who is currently the chair and a board member of the Board of Elections. Reappoint Stephen Simmons to a 3-year term expiring in October 2026, and as chair of that board.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Gossett and a second by Commissioner Tony Sharp to reappoint Stephen Simmons for a 3-year term expiring in October 2026, and as chair of that board. Is there any discussion? Is there any members of the public that want to not say anything? If not, then all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? None, and the motion's carried unanimously. Congratulations, Steve. Thank you very much for serving. At least, I hope.
2 years.
At least, I hope. With that, we'll move right on to our next item of old business, which is to consider amendments, 2 amendments to policies in the committee handbook, specifically changing membership criteria, focusing on eliminating eligibility of out-of-towners to sit on committees and/or task forces, and establishing a mandate that potential committee agenda topics first come before the Board of Commissioners for awareness and authorization to proceed. If you recall, we talked about this at the last meeting. There was, seemed to be a consensus that membership on the committees, this is the advisory committees only, because the other boards and commissions are quasi-judicial and have their own membership criteria. And we have also excluded to date talking about the task forces, where they have their own set of rules that do allow out-of-towners to be members. So we were responding in part to some citizens who questioned why out-of-towners are coming in and sitting on our committees and being able to vote even when they're in a non-voting capacity. So the thought here was to clean it up. Is there any further discussion by anybody up here? Is there any discussion among members of the public? 1 or 2 what?
Item 1 or 2.
We're going to take them individually. So let's take a look at the membership criteria, focusing on eliminating, or if you want to put it in the positive, membership criteria focusing on the only membership being those related to in town, such as property owners and residents. And I don't know whether we talked about last time about including business owners in there or not. I'm amenable to that. Do you have a recollection, Patrick?
I think it was business owners that were available.
Could be allowed for membership on a advisory committee.
Yes.
So if there's no more discussion, there's and public comment. And let me finish. Let me just come on up. Just reiterate that I mentioned last time that I believe that all input is welcome, whether you live in town or out of town, and that our committees, advisory committees, are particularly receptive to and welcoming to bringing people in and letting them sit and be able to offer their opinions. So we do welcome that. Carolyn, you want to come identify yourself in relationship
Carolyn
to this?
Diefendorfer, city resident. I think having people from outside who have a special knowledge or special interest in the topic is a good thing. Visitors to the town bring revenue in here and help support the town. I mean, I am on one of the committees that has people from outside. Historically, they have voted, but as Commissioner Shanowski said before, if it ever came down to it wasn't a unanimous vote, he would go back and take a vote from each person. So I don't personally have a problem letting a vote be cast as long as it doesn't, if it were to impact the outcome, that's when I think you have to look at whether they were a resident or not. I think it's kind of awkward to point out every time, all right, you're not a city resident, so don't vote. I think it's still valuable to hear their recommendation. And what we send up is only a recommendation. You all still have the final vote. So,
Thank you, Carolyn. Your opinion seems to reflect Hoyt Decker, who wrote a letter that's embedded in the agenda and also supports that. I'm still reacting perhaps to what you said. I'm still a little unsettled in allowing it because you indicated that, yeah, we can try to control it the best we can or something, but to me, if it's too confusing right now, then we just shouldn't do it. And again, I think we're very receptive. We've always been welcoming to people coming in and giving their opinion anyhow. And they've also, if the recommendation comes forward to this board and we hear it again, it's on the agenda, then they have even another opportunity to come up and share their opinion. So I'm a little conservative in my position on this right now. Anybody further discussion?
I just said, I think last time you mentioned what changed my mind a bit was, are we the only municipality that allows non-residents to be on committees?
The support document in there was authored by then Commissioner Susan Gay. So what does that mean? A year and a half ago. So it may be old information, but at that time, none of the municipalities that she looked at had non-resident members.
And it's been over 2 years now. It happened before Tim and I came on the commission.
Okay, so it's been a little over
A
2
little
years.
over
So
two now.
things may have changed, but I think if you look at that list,
It's Dewey Beach, Bethany Beach, South Bethany, Fenwick, and Lewis.
but I think where I was headed is I think some of those are even more restrictive than us, that they don't even allow a non-resident property owner. To me, the way I read it, it's only if you're a resident.
So ours is property owner.
So we are even more
Liberal.
than these.
Lewis is full-time residents only. The Bethany, South Bethany, and Fenwick are resident/property owners only. And Dewey Beach is residents, property owners, in-town business owners, and town employees.
So would we allow business owners then to vote?
Well, that's where this was. That's why I questioned Patrick and some others on whether we really discussed it last time. Remember, for task force, they're their own item. They have their own policy, and they do allow outsiders or out-of-towners and business folks. And that's why I would like clarification that I see no reason to ban a business owner, if they're an in-town business owner, from participating on a commission or advisory committee as well.
Last time we discussed this, we did not exclude them at all.
Yes, ma'am.
Carolyn Diefendorfer, city resident. If they pay property taxes here, in my mind, they should have a vote. So business owners pay property taxes.
No, they don't. The owners of the building.
Well, the owners of the building, but, okay.
They would be able.
I'm just for
Okay,
clarity,
so
yeah.
the one I'm aware of, I think, owns the property and is on one of the committees. So maybe that's the distinction, is they have to be property tax paying.
But that excludes the businesses, and if you're
Right,
willing
and-
to do the businesses,
right,
then you
and
need to
the
say residents, property
Right.
owners,
Yeah,
and
that's
business owners.
That's a tough one.
And that's the nuance. You
Yes.
hit the nail
Yeah,
on the head
that's a
there
tough
with the
one.
nuance.
Yep.
Yes. Mhm.
Thank you, Carolyn. Patrick?
If we were to say property owners, residents, and licensed business owners, that of licensed business owners, that they could be committee members.
Can you be a business without a license?
Theoretically, no, but this gives it a little more definition that there's
Well, you can make it.
city record. You have city records for property owners and residents, so to have some sense of clarification or ability to check if they have a business license in the city.
And can it be a representative of that business, or does it need to be such as the manager of the business? There's all these little nuances, as you said.
You're right.
You know, let's say on the Wilmington-Baltimore Streetscape Task Force, we have a business owner who also owns property in town. We have another one over
That's
on.
a task force.
That's a yeah, okay, you're right, you're right.
Nuance.
Yeah.
Just as a reminder, the committees we're specifically addressing are animal issues, boardwalk and beach, environment, streets and transportation, and trees and green infrastructure.
Right.
And just as a reminder, I have a whole new idea for committees that I will not forget about,
No.
I hope, before our November workshop.
No, we won't forget.
No, we won't.
Good afternoon.
Walter, go ahead.
Walter Birmingham, 123 Hamilton Avenue. Is maybe the problem those people voting? Because maybe they would have value to sit on the committee, but maybe not to vote.
That's been on the table from the beginning, and I've contended that it just complicates things. The chairs can remember or not remember who votes, who doesn't vote. I mean, it could be taken care of by only the members that are able to vote are recorded, but then you separately in the minutes record those that can't vote. So there's options to deal with it, but I just think it's too complicated. And again, I think I'm primarily focused on reacting to my constituents that say, why are we allowing some of the outsiders to come in and think? And again, I gave that example of banning gas mowers and stuff, you know? And so that right now carries a lot of the weight for me.
And I also feel that, you know, if a person, whether they're voting or not, is on the committee, they're involved in the conversation. Their ideas, their influence, if you will, have a role in that committee. Now, if all committees, they certainly can take public hearing, public comments, emails, what have you, so their voices are heard, but they do not have a place at the table in that regard.
And I guess the way I think about it is they are in the room.
Right.
Because they can come to any committee meeting if they really have a focused interest in the subject matter, be it animals, be it streets, be whatever it is. So all it really is geography. It's where you sit in the room.
Just to add to that, Commissioner Gossett, Commissioner Sharp, and Mayor, it strikes me that it's not exclusive in the sense that the committees, if they find that they need expertise, they can invite that expertise to the meeting or a series of meetings for that input. It doesn't seem
without them being
absolutely
a member
just
of the
as
committee.
experts.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't seem exclusive in any way in that regard.
I've just heard too much from constituents over 8 years that they are not fond of our making really important decisions with a great deal of input from non-taxpayers. Not fond of it.
Well, Commissioner Sharp, in that regard, then it sounds like we would not want to allow business owners. We would want then it to be focused exclusively then on property owners.
But
go ahead.
I was just going to say that, I mean, it sounds like we want it to be analogous to the same requirements we would have in order to be able to vote, you know, but there might be some subtle changes between that, you know, I don't know, but it just seems like that's like the measure of legitimacy for participating in the government, you know.
Yes.
Well, I favor in-towners and give them more weight than the out-of-towners for participating in the committee role. I feed on everybody's feedback, and again, I welcome that. But otherwise, the in-town connections for me are being a resident, whether you own property or not, property ownership.
Is there a
and then-
consensus?
And then business ownership.
Is there a consensus on business owners? Yes, no?
I'm fine with business owners.
I was fine with it until you said who from the business.
Well, we're saying business owners,
So it's only.
Not
the
a
owner.
proxy of.
correct? It says business owners. It does not say or a representative of. And that's,
Can I add, Mayor, you might want to specify that it's business owners with brick and mortar locations in the city, because you don't want contractors who are outside who have business licenses but don't have a
that's a
brick and mortar.
good point, because we've got, I think, over 3,000 licensed businesses, but so-and-so's plumbing that is out in Highland
Right.
has a license to do in town, do we want to let them? So that wording sounds good to me. Repeat it
I think I just mentioned brick and mortar locations within the city.
within the city. Business owners with
With an actual,
brick and mortar.
or an addressed location within the cities, an actual physical space or.
I'm just trying to think of a business that just has a post office box here. Are
So brick and mortar may be more
Are
descriptive.
they really legitimately going to represent
So
a
brick and
real,
mortar
a
is an
real
acceptable
business in
term.
the city?
Yeah, no, I think, Commissioner Gossett was just saying brick and mortar, probably use that actual language, brick and mortar.
Is anybody would offer a motion?
I will, Mayor, make a motion that the current city policy regarding membership on Animal Issues Committee, Beach and Boardwalk Committee, Environmental Committee, Streets and Transportation Committee, Trees and Green Infrastructure Committee, be property owners, residents, and licensed brick and mortar businesses located, owners, located within the city of Rehoboth Beach.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Patrick Gossett and a second by Commissioner Don
Preston.
Preston, I'm sorry. Restrict membership on advisory committee, or the noted advisory committees to property owners, residents, and business owners with brick and mortar locations in the city. Discussion, I'm fine with that. I'm surprised that you're naming them individually. I think that's fine. Because if we ever, I don't know where we're going with committees, but if we do create a new committee, we would probably then want to stipulate that they need to adhere to the new committee handbook rules. So I'd almost like it to say, and any other advisory committees or something, but do you think we're fine there? By
I mean, I
naming
would
them?
believe that if we vote to establish another committee, it would be with our direction, if that were to happen, and that would, I certainly would feel that it would, as part of the resolution to adopt the new committee, that would have to be, follow the committee handbook procedures.
Yes.
Okay, but the committee handbook procedures is specific to the only committee. So we can deal with it.
I just had a point of clarification.
yes.
So if I'm an independent realtor and I work out of one of the offices here in town, that's considered brick and mortar, and I'm an independent business person, so do I count as a eligible member?
Are they owners?
Well, you own your own, if you're
They-
a realtor.
They have a business license, but I don't know if they're,
I would think the broker owner of the realty company that realtor is working for would be the one who's eligible to serve on the committee. They're the owner of the brokerage.
So if you're ABC Real Estate, that's the person who owns ABC Real Estate, not the individual realtor.
Is their employee?
Right, because they don't own ABC Realty.
Right. And then the other question would be for, if this passed, then are the people that are currently non-residents that are on committees, are we then just telling them that they're no longer on the committees, or are we going to grandfather that, or is it, how are we going to handle that?
Well, that brings me to, do we want to modify the, offer an amendment that it is effective immediately? Should we do that? Because we don't have an effective date on it otherwise, but I would say yes, amend it to say effective immediately. And then, yes, I would need to contact any non-eligible member and say, thank you for your service, but because of a change in policy, you're no longer able to participate.
That's something you'll do, or the,
Something I would do, yeah. Do we want to agree that it's effective immediately, or should we formalize the motion?
Friendly amendment, if
Friendly
anybody?
amendment. Second.
So we have a friendly amendment to add to the existing motion that it is effective immediately. Is there any further discussion? If not, I'll do a roll call vote. Commissioner Sharp?
Aye.
Commissioner Gossett?
Aye.
Commissioner Bennett?
aye.
Commissioner Markert?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye also.
Wait.
One more.
Oh, Commissioner Preston.
Don Preston.
Aye.
Now the chair votes, and the chair votes aye. Thank you very much. So now we have component number 2 of this. Consider amendments to the policy in the committee handbook, establishing a mandate that potential committee agenda topics first come before the Board of Commissioners for awareness and authorization to proceed. I think that agenda language is very clear, and that the intent we talked about last time is to for any committee that they want to come up with their own topics is fine, but before they actually put it on an agenda and consume time by having a meeting, et cetera, that they run it in front of the mayor and commissioners for their blessing, if you will. But that also gives us the opportunity to give them guidance or pose questions that we hope to get out of that conversation. Is there any discussion?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we amend the policies of the committee handbook to establish a mandate that potential committee agenda topics first come before the Board of Commissioners for awareness and authorization to proceed.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Don Preston and a second by Commissioner Tony Sharp to establish a mandate within the committee handbook that potential committee agenda topics first come before the Board of Commissioners for awareness and authorization to proceed. Any members of the public like to say anything? Walter?
Thank you, Walter Brittingham, 123 Henlopen Avenue. Does that have to be an agenda item for you to agree that somebody can do something?
That's what we're talking about, is agenda
Yeah, but
topic.
does it have to be an agenda item, or are you going to do it in the back room?
I would. Oh, you mean receiving?
Well, why don't you read?
Wait a minute,
Why don't you read what you wrote? Because it says, in order to assign something, to authorize it, you have to discuss it. And we already think / know and/or have with different people, different mayors that regulate the agenda. Don't take that too personal. I have to think about that a little bit, but I have thoughts on it. But I'll give you an example. Sally Foreman can stand up here for 43 minutes. I don't know if she owns property in town, but can she, just because she's in Save Our Lakes, I'm not picking on Sally, but she's an example, and everything's at the discretion of the chair. But if it's got to come first to the Board of Commissioners, to the mayor or the mayor and Board of Commissioners, for something to be assigned to a committee.
Here's what I believe the procedure would be. Whether it's a person, whether it's a city manager, whether it's a chair of a committee, they would bring forth ideas that they think are worthwhile for a committee, advisory committee to consider. At that time, they would obviously be sending information to me, and I would be putting it on a future agenda so that it's noticed, so that we can all consider in the public eye, again, what is the potential for it? Do we want to just awareness, but are we going to authorize it to proceed? So it's all done out in the open.
So.
And
you
I'm
put
sorry,
your-
and most likely with a template that we're talking about last time, so that they know how to bring things forward to us. Go ahead.
Well, the last part of it is then who makes up that committee?
There is no committee. It comes in front of this board here.
So that's what I'm saying. It's going to be listed on the agenda then.
Yes.
Correct. I
And
just
then-
said it was.
So that gets it, so that is to put it on a future agenda.
Yes, that's
Okay,
what
so
I
that's
just
going to
said.
delay things.
Correct, absolutely.
And you know.
Thank you.
And that's why so many people in town don't trust you.
Thank you. Did you want to say something? Your finger's up. Put that finger down. All righty. With that, what's next? A vote? All those in favor of approval of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? And then, oh, I'm sorry. We'll let the record show that Commissioner Bennett opposes it. And otherwise, the motion's carried 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 1. Thank you all very much. And that's again something that I need to notify the chair. Well, the chairs are commissioners, but still, I will send out a reminder. With that, we'll go to the next item of old business, which is consider awarding a contract for the new city website. If you recall, at the last meeting, we heard a good report from Lynn on a couple potential website vendors, and we're going to continue that conversation today with possible vote to conclude that conversation. Go ahead.
Good afternoon. Yes, as a follow-up to our conversation October 10th, I have requested a draft contract from Planetaria to move forward with designing the city's new website. And the scope of work and the terms of agreement are attached to the agenda. I apologize, we made some changes and we got them late, so when you are considering the motion, I would ask that you authorize the city manager to move forward with the agreement pending legal review.
Mayor, I would move to authorize the city manager upon final review by staff and the city solicitor to enter into an agreement with Planetaria to develop, host, and maintain a new City of Rehoboth Beach website.
Should we put the amount in there?
That's,
Can you do that?
well, it's
It's
upon the
one-
final
You have the
review.
amount in front of you?
It's $55,900.
55,900.
And as a note, it will require additional approval of funds in the 2025 budget.
But the, up on the screen there, the initial
Yes,
outlay is 55,900.
that's what you're authorizing today.
correct. Creating a new website for $55,900 and an additional $7,080 will be charged annually for hosting, maintenance, and service.
So you made a motion.
I did.
Did
That was a
somebody
friendly
second it?
amendment to my motion.
Second.
That's a tie. We have a motion by Commissioner Patrick Gossett and a second by Commissioner Don Preston to award Planetary with a contract for creating a new website in the amount of $55,900.
Mayor, question. Commissioner Gossett, I assume you mean in the final review by council, we assume that if there are any snags that council finds, that we will be advised of that before this agreement is signed. Is that correct? Thank you.
City manager, city solicitor, and city staff.
Thank you.
Any further discussion up here? Any members of the public? Nope. Very good. With that, we have a motion on the floor to award Planetaria, is it, with with a contract to create the new website. We'll do a group vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? And the motion's carried by the members that are here. Thank you very much. With that, we have no new business identified. Are there any commissioner announcements or comments?
Just one to confirm that over Assistant Manager Evan Miller's signature, the grant application forms have been sent and received by the Historical Society, Main Street, the Senior Center, and the library, with a deadline of December 1st.
Very good. Thank you, Evan. With that, if there's no further commissioner comments.
I have one comment.
Oh, go ahead.
I just wanted to give for the second time kudos to this agenda item report. I kept sitting here during all of our presentations looking at this report and wondering if each presenter of X number of slides could have something as simplistic as a routine report that gives you the purpose, the background, the course of action, financial implications, et cetera, it might actually improve the efficiency and the time that we spend in these meetings. So I'm very hopeful because I think this is just great. I think Lynn's used it, Liz Lingo has used it, so I'm just waiting for, as these to me are test or pilot things, that it gets widely used. I think it would standardize things and make very crisp what the issue is, why we're doing something, exactly how much it's going to cost. You don't have to sift through papers, paragraphs, slides to figure it out. I'm a big fan. Thank you, Lawrence, I believe, for instituting this, and I hope everybody accepts it and uses it.
Mayor, I'd like to associate myself with the comments of Commissioner Sharp.
We just say ditto, ditto.
Ditto.
Thank you.
Fabulous.
Thank you. With that, we'll move on, review future meeting dates. We have a special meeting on Tuesday, the 24th, that will most likely be in executive session. Then our next meeting is November 6th. That is a Monday. That's our workshop meeting at 9 a.m. with a special meeting at 2 p.m. in the afternoon. Is there any additional citizen comment? Are you coming forward? No. With that, then this meeting is adjourned at 4:52 p.m. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.